across the UK. On DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Well, a very good morning to you. What is it? Wednesday, the 13th of May, 2026. This is Jeremy Carlin Talk, of course, the home of common sense, the home of the alarm clock Brit. Let's just go back to the home of common sense. I don't know how to start. Actually, I do know how to start. What an absolutely unbelievable 24 hours. And he's still there. How in the name of the Lord is he still there? I'm going to read out something that was written today, well, last night, by the incredible Dan Hodges in the Mail, who will be here at 8 o'clock this morning. He says, and I quote, "The idea that this situation is sustainable is lunacy. The previous Tory administration, yes, pushed the boundaries of dysfunctional government to its limit. But to the Tory party's credit, its ministers, MPs and prime ministers finally reached a point where they recognised loyalty to their country was more important than to their own prospects. Keith Starmer and his party currently have neither the humility nor the dignity to place the national interest of the United Kingdom ahead of their own. The reality, ladies and gentlemen, is that the PM does not give a damn about fighting for the working people of Britain. If he did, he would recognise that it's his own weaknesses is now leaving us defenceless at a time of unique international and economic peril." Let's go further, right? Back in 2022, that man, Starmer, who is currently ensconced in Downing Street, won't see anybody and has locked his study door, and you think I'm joking, came out on every single forum about Johnson. Just listen to his words. Talk about coming back to haunt you. Have a listen.
None of this nonsense about clinging on for a few months. He's inflicted lies, fraud and chaos in the country. And, you know, we're stuck with a government which isn't functioning in the middle of a cost of living crisis. And the change we need is not a change at the top of the Tory party. It's much more fundamental than that. We need a change of government and a fresh start for Britain. His own party have finally concluded that he's unfit to be Prime Minister. They can't now inflicting on the country for the next few months. It's obvious he's unfit to be Prime Minister. That's been blindingly obvious for a very, very long time.
Sorry, I live in another universe. Yesterday we were on Resignation Watch. Today I don't know what to call it. Reality Watch? It's like a reality television show. I want to get your feelings straight away. I know some of you will say, Jez, you said he was going to go yesterday. Yes, I fundamentally believed he was. The reason Dan Hodges is extraordinarily brilliant, by the way, is he's got a theory about this whole thing about my mood, which I'll explain to you. But please, what do you make of it? How is he still there? How can he have the front to still be there? And today, of course, is the King's speech. I mean, our own monarch, who's not well, has got to sit in Parliament in heavy robes, handing out what his government is going to do in the next 4 months for a lame duck Prime Minister that most of his colleagues, I imagine, I think, and certainly most of the country, don't even want to be Prime Minister. 0344 499 1000, text to 87222. We're live across the UK. Get that. Oh, listen straight away. Jay. One of your jams here, just about managing, yeah. Yesterday's meeting was an absolute disgrace. That plonker Starmer is staying to make sure we're back in the EU by the back door, and only when he's done that, he might finally disappear. It's unbelievable. If you are a regular to this show, in the first hour, I have somebody in to do the papers. I'm not going to name the person or shame them, but they haven't shown up. So you've got me. They are going to get it. I mean, literally, seriously, they're going to get it. 0344 499 1000. Right, Keir Starmer and Wes Streeting are set for a number 10 showdown this morning. It's in every newspaper. There we have. Front page of the Times. After the Prime Minister defied calls to quit yesterday. I don't know if you know what happened in that cabinet meeting, but apparently this is what happened. He was sat at his desk. All the papers saying, "You useless, you need to go." They all came in, and he said, right, let's cut to the chase. The only way there's a change of leader is if a leadership... anyway, we're moving on to Iran. And then he said, and I quote, "If you want to speak to me, I will speak to you personally later. Streeting, and they all tripped up to his study, locked the door, didn't answer. Unbelievable. Streeting, who's been dreaming of number 10 since he was born, has he bottled it? What's he going to say in this showdown today? I mean, I might as well just give this to you straight away. That the story that Dan Hodges believes is the real story is that on Monday night he realised his time was up, started ringing around senior ministers, including Shabana Mahmood, who said, look, let's be respectful to you. There needs to be an orderly transition. He said, OK. She, or somebody in their papers, in her office, then briefed the papers, and Starmer went nuclear and said, Sodom, I'm not leaving for any of them. It's unbelievable, is it not, that a man who came to power pontificating about everything the Tories, and he was right, got wrong, how it was not grown up and it was cronyism and I'll stay here at all time. This man has put himself in front of his country, which means there is absolutely no way in God's green earth that this man can survive. I don't care what anybody says. It doesn't matter whether it's today or tomorrow or in a couple of months. He is toast in the eyes of the British public. 0344 499 1000. Morning, Wayne.
Morning, Jezza. It's a very despondent Wayne from Erdington in Birmingham this morning, mate. It appears we now have a squatter in at number 10. I will once again reiterate my offer. Would you like this man evicted from number 10? And indeed, the rest of the country? If so, just let me know, mate. It'd be a pleasure to do that work on behalf of your viewers and listeners. Ha. Keep up the good work, guys.
Good morning. Thank you. Starmer is completely insane, says John, and is looking for a cushy job in Brussels. Morning to Steve in Crawley in Sussex. Jez, no, I haven't. You seem to have forgotten the brilliant Dan Hodges, as you describe him, was Starmer's biggest supporter a year ago. Shall I tell you why he's absolutely on the money? Because one of the things as a politician or a journalist or anything is you can see through stuff. Yeah, he admits that. But he also sees entirely what Starmer is, has become and represents, and has called it out. And if he was just steadfast in his support for the Labour Party, he wouldn't write as honest as he does. That's why I think it's brilliant, Steve. I'm being honest. Roger from Wales, good morning. I'm sorry, but the amount of hurt this Labour government has done to the British people is one thing, but to go against the democratic vote for Brexit is over the top. If he can ignore us voting for Brexit, then we should be able to ignore that they were elected. Good morning to Bill from Romsey. Does Starmer not realise that we're in a worse economic position than when Liz Truss was PM? There's the other point. Markets getting jittery overnight, and as I said already, internationally a laughingstock, economically on our backsides, and they're just going to run around and try and save their own backs. It doesn't make sense to me. Sean in Gloucester, good morning, pal. Keith Starlin is now a Klingon. Even the Labour Party want him gone. I'm convinced he would call an election out of spite. They all need to go. We can't afford any of them. 0344 499 1000. Text to 87222. It's 6:10 on Wednesday morning. Starmer's holed up. Even Larry the cat wanted to do one yesterday. He's holed up in Downing Street. His wife's not there. She's moved out. Nobody likes him. It's an absolute shambles. Morning, Andy.
Good morning, Jezza. Andy from Hull. Here we are again. It's amazing. He's causing so much disruption now. I'm not going to say he needs to go, because I'm fed up with saying he needs to go. He just needs to go. Just go, man.
Let's run through some of the headlines of yesterday. You'll have seen it unfold. So there was the meeting, and they all traipsed out. Streeting, who'll just talk to anybody, walked down his street with a face unbelievable face. Starmer says, no, we're getting on with the job of government. It's the King's speech tomorrow. Ed Miliband, quelle surprise. Late afternoon, he said, look, if Wes Streeting thinks he's going to be anointed, I'll have to stand because this party is a broad church. Of course you did. Burnham arrived in a linen jacket. Never trust a man in a linen jacket and jeans. He arrived in London to meet with MPs who support his return. Don't know who they are. Rayner told MPs that while she supports Burnham, if he doesn't get back into Parliament, she'll have to stand as well. The ginger growler, that was good. Shabana Mahmood said, I'm not going to resign. Did I tell you something? If Dan Hodges is right and Mahmood was in trouble, we didn't see her walk up Downing Street yesterday to that meeting, did we? Or Yvette Cooper. That was an interesting one. 100 MPs want him gone, and 100 MPs also sent a letter saying it's no time for a leadership contest, but we do have this on good authority that many of them were phoned by the whips yesterday and said, sign this letter. Otherwise, you're in trouble. Buckingham Palace has been in crisis talks with Number 10 all night over whether the King's speech should actually go ahead and what the hell he's supposed to say. Donald Trump... It's brilliant, Donald Trump. What do you think... Have you got the clip? What do you think Starmer should do? I love him. Watch this. Brilliant.
Keir Starmer, sir. He seems to be on the brink.
Well, my advice to him has always been, open up your oil in the North Sea. You got one of the great oil finds anywhere in the world, and you're not using it. They're not allowed to use it. And it's one of the best in the world, among the best oils in the world. Open up your oil in the North Sea and get tough on immigration.
Did he stay or go?
Europe is being very, very hurt by immigration all over Europe.
Did he stay or go?
That's up to him. But I've told him from day one, you're getting killed on energy. You're windmilling your country to death. Open up the North Sea. You have one of the greatest sources of energy in the world. Open up the North Sea.
The pressure is from Nigel Farage, sir.
Quite interesting, he didn't say he should stay or go. There's Trump on form, to be honest. Open up the North Sea, close the borders. Because if you think about it, Starmer's got it round the wrong way. The borders are open and the North Sea's closed. In other developments yesterday, safeguarding minister, I've got a theory about this. Jess Phillips was one of 4 ministers who resigned from the government. She said she'd not seen the change expected. Now, let's just take you back as well. In March, when she was confronted about the sort of lack of movement on safety towards women and whether the government was doing enough, she was effusive in her praise of the Prime Minister in March.
Will he still be the Prime Minister beyond May?
I imagine, yeah.
And would you be glad that's the case?
Look, there is never, ever, I have never, ever worked with a male politician who is as big an ally and has helped me move the tides of power on violence against women and girls more than Keir Starmer.
OK.
The resignation letter said, I think you're a good man fundamentally who cares about the right things. However, I've seen firsthand how that is never enough. Brilliant. So yesterday, she threw out toys out of a pram. We were told she hadn't seen the change expected. I'll just throw my 2 pennyworth in. You remember on Sunday when the cosh was on him, he brought back Gordon Brown as a fiscal expert. Brilliant, don't sell the gold. And he brought back Harriet Harpoon, Women and Equality Advisor. I would suspect, and I could be massively wrong, that Jess Phillips's nose was well and truly out of joint. So you've got this incredibly toxic situation where you've got 100 MPs that want him gone, 100 who have probably been forced into saying, you know, he should stay. He sat in 10 Downing Street saying, I've got a mandate from the people, I'm off to do the King's speech. The King doesn't even want to be there. Half of the Cabinet don't want him there but haven't got the balls to stand up and tell him. Streeting's disappeared. I have no idea where he's gone. And the most important point in all of this is the gratuitous lie that the Labour Party came to power talking about grown-up politics and country first and cronyism is dead. No, it's not, because if cronyism was dead, Keir Starmer, you would be out of 10 Downing Street. You'd have fallen on your sword. You'd have said somebody else could do a better job. I'm doing right by the people. Bloody shame on you. 6:15. Elaine, good morning.
Morning, Jeremy. Elaine here. Yeah, Starmer is still there. It's very hard to get rid of a dictator. My best Labour MP to take over would be Jeremy Stringer. Yeah, he'd be good. But I would expect a talk government, a reform government at some point. So, yeah. The worst 2 would be Angela Rayner and Ed Miliband. That would be an absolutely no-go. We would have to have a general election. The people would have to force it. Great show, as always.
Now, much as I appreciate emails and voice notes, and I love to read them out, we have to have a little bit of a contest there. So she said, and I quote, a talk government. No. We're not forming I mean, we could do, frankly, and it would be a lot better, I think. It'll be... I mean, if you look at the latest YouGov opinion poll, nothing from the reform that I was reading this morning, an 11-point lead, the largest ever, as other parties get found out. But that's just a point. It's not a talk government, be a reform government. It's not Jeremy Stringer, it's Graham Stringer. I'm Jeremy Carr. Unless I became Graham Carr, you know what I'm trying to say. But very good. Quite well said. 0344. Isabella be Foreign Secretary. Absolutely. Isabel Oakeshott, Richard Tice, Deputy Prime Minister, Nigel Farage, Prime Minister. I fancy the culture brief. I fancy closing down the BBC, but that's another story. Now, 0344 499 1000. Let's go to Essex. Derek, you're on Talk Breakfast. Good morning, my friend.
Good morning, Mr. Kyle. How the hell are you?
Not too bad for a...
Have you got round to boiling your head yet? Because I'm getting round to that sort of state myself.
Why are you going to boil your head? It's not going to work for you, Del.
Because don't you think it's time we had a general strike in this country to get rid of this bloody clown and his empire?
I will say this to you, my friend. No to a general strike. No. But I tell you what happens, and this is one of the things that I've always tried to hold on to, because it is absolutely appalling right now, and every person I know is going, what's going to happen? I have great faith in the British people. I have great faith, genuinely I mean this, that in the end, a bit like Polanski in The Houseboat, you get found out. In the end, you have to face up to your detractors. It doesn't matter about MPs playing how can we sustain our careers. You have to look the British people in your eyes. King's speech today is a farce. Next Prime Minister's question time is a farce. Everybody knows this man will go. Whether it's today, tomorrow, a week or a month, he is dead. That dead man walking. But I agree with you. The travesty of what the Labour Party is putting on the British public is that whilst all of them are running around trying to save their backsides, as I've said 3 times already in 20 minutes, this country is on its backside. And that, for alarm clock Britain, is the biggest and most disgusting thing. Thank you to Derek. Morning, Jess. It's Jez. What is wrong with you? I'm not called Jeremy Stringer or Jess. Morning, Jess. Great. Is it only me in the country that wants him to stay because they want the lot of them gone and the total annihilation of the Labour Party? Happy days, says Baz in West Brom. There is a feeling, Baz, that it could be worse without him, which makes you probably think it would be better to go and live on the moon. Jackie from Stoke-on-Trent. Morning, Jeremiah. Sorry, Jess and Jeremiah, what's happened here? Did you hear Lammy yesterday, fully supporting Stalin, that he is completely behind him, ruining the once great country? Just saying. We've got a clip. David Lammy, I mean, an inspiration to anybody who thinks you can get anywhere if you've got no talent. This was him yesterday.
We must put country before party. It's been 24 hours now, and nobody has come forward to put themselves forward in the processes that exist in the party. No one seems to have the names to stand up against Keir Starmer, and for those who are suggesting that he should stand down, they should say which candidate would be better. Let's get on with the business of running this country and government. That's what I've been doing today. That's what the Prime Minister's been doing. And I urge colleagues to step back and not benefit Nigel Farage and reform.
It's absolutely unbelievable. And I am not... Listen, running this country, you're running this country into the ground. To come out with the front and go, it's all about, you know, doing right by the country. This government is paralysed, completely paralysed by Labour chaos. Front page of the Daily Mail. Absolutely right. Inside story, the night Sir Keir decided they'd have to drag him out of number 10. Markets take fright at anarchy in Downing Street. Streeting to hold showdown talks with PM as coup falls flat. Royals drawn in amid concern. I mean, honest to God, no, we're a laughing stock anyway, and it's getting worse. I cannot handle Lammy saying we've got to get on with running the country. They've not run the country effectively at all. In fact, as far as I can see, they've destroyed this country, and it gets worse and worse. Let's go to Birmingham. That's right, OK. Oh, that was good, wasn't it? What a start to the day. We've managed to dump his call because there was... Yeah, never mind. Liam, good morning.
Morning, Jez. Liam in his lorry. It was pretty obvious he wasn't going to go. This is what socialists do. He's only interested in one thing, and that is now he's got power. He's not going to let it go. He's very dictatorial. I mean, let's be honest. He doesn't care about us. He doesn't care about this country. All he cares about is himself. So that about sums him up, really, doesn't it? Anyway, Jez, have a great show.
Yeah, like it will. And to the man that tried to phone up, I understand the frustration, but we can't be singing songs at this time in the morning, because if you carry on like that, the Starmer police will have me removed and it'll all go wrong. 0344 499 1000 talk. Morning, JK and Charlie. Yeah. Well, now you've alighted on it, haven't you? Charlie Rowley, co-host for the first hour. Nowhere to be... Oh, there's the chair. Empty chair. nowhere to be seen. I take this personally. I think this is inefficient. I think it's unprofessional. And I shall be having words. Oh, yes. Spineless Labour MPs have now sealed their fate. They disgust me. They're not working for us, the public. They're working for themselves, says Dave in Aberdeen. I couldn't agree more. Johanna from Salisbury. Jez, whatever is so important in the King's speech, he will next whip the Labour MPs to pass it. We've been taken over by a monstrosity of a dictator. Jez, says Keith in Nottingham, in the years to come, are we to see Starmer to vanish into the abyss, only to resurface on I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here? Hopefully in an episode which includes an eating challenge where he can try and stomach the same kind of balls that he's made the rest of us keep down for as long as we can remember. You lot are feisty this morning. With slight trepidation, I'm going to Gloucester. I don't want any more songs. David, you're on Talk Breakfast. Good morning.
Good morning, Jeremy. How are we all?
Good morning, David. How are you? I'm very good. What's going on?
Right. Starmer's not going anywhere. His family don't want him.
Oh.
His country doesn't want him.
No,
he's homeless because somebody tried to set fire to his home a few months ago.
God, yeah.
Nobody's interested in any book he's going to write, so that ain't going to work. Nobody's going to want to employ him. What's he got? So basically, he's homeless, familyless. He's just going to stay there and just annoy us all for the rest of time.
Great. Well, you've really pleased me on a Wednesday. The point of the matter is, David, thank you so much indeed for your call. The point of the matter is that there will come a time where, and this is the really interesting point before we go to a break, right? It's so interesting for me that MPs take up positions. Rest assured, right? When push comes to shove and they realise their own futures are on the line, they will move. Whether they think they're not going to or people doubt them, they will definitely move. What I think we need to concentrate on is the absolute obsession with almost every single person in the Labour Party about reform. I'm not going to quote anybody, but I saw something from Nigel the other day which said, I thought it was really interesting. He just said, you know, for weeks and months and years we've been derided and laughed at. Those local elections last week when the Reform Party won 1,454 seats, I think, in control of 14 councils. The latest YouGov poll puts them 11 points ahead. I think these other parties, instead of thinking that they're going to get away anymore by conning the public into just slagging off something that is increasing in popularity, should try and convince us that they've got things that might be popular as well, but they're not. And that is the reason this government is failing. Stuart, Starmer's reform's best asset. The longer he stays, the worse the defeat will be at the next election when Nigel Farage, this man says, will take power. 6:25. We're live across the UK. The first hour of the Jeremy Kyle Breakfast Show. No Charlie Rowley. He's a no-show. Probably ended up in some dodgy place and woken up and thought, oh, my God, how do I do this? But I will be having words. In the meantime, if you want to be on, 0344 499 1000. Text to 87222. Raining in. It's raining in voice notes. Morning, Janie.
Yesterday, I was ecstatic. Today, I put the champagne back in the fridge. I'll go out to work with the alarm clock Brits, pay me tax, watch him sit in his flat, pondering whether he can take the curtains down and sell them on eBay. God, I don't know what to say. It's absolutely diabolical, this situation. Nothing's getting done. And, he sat there twiddling his thumbs going, I'm not moving.
Chris O'Dowd! When you get the offer to be the voice of a sheep...
Yes, you can only dream, really.
Kelly Riley and Cole Hauser! Well, how much of rip does your husband in real life have about him?
I mean, yeah. I mean, he's mad.
He's Kirsty and Phil!
Can we talk about one other thing?
We can talk about loads of things. It's an interview.
Wake up, it's a beautiful morning.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back, 6:28. If you're waking up, it's Wednesday the 13th of May and he's still there. Somebody said to me, Larry the cat was the only thing at number 10 that knew what it was doing yesterday. Just the most chaotic day. Keir Starmer refusing to budge. Went to his office, didn't speak to anybody. There was a showdown this morning with him and Streeting. Streeting, who purports to want to change the Labour Party and wants to stand. Well, have the balls then, man, to stand up and confront this man, because nobody seems to want to do it. I mean, what is so difficult, right? Here's what I would say to Labour MPs. You're scared of what? Your career prospects? This party's not going to be re-elected for years on the back of this debacle, and you're making yourselves look appalling. We do have some news on Charlie Rowley, and I think we've been slightly too quick in judging Charlie. There are rumours emanating from Westminster circles that Charlie Rowley is at this moment inside number 10, plotting a way to lead the Labour Party, which, I mean, extraordinary. Imagine Charlie Rowley re-entering politics. Maybe he's going to be Keir Starmer's new special advisor. No, I don't think that's going to work. 0344 419 1000. Boz, good morning.
Morning, JK and the breakfast team. Travelling Boz here. So, yeah, it's still annoying. 24 hours later, and that man is still in power. He hasn't got the right to turn round and say, listen, I've got to go back on what I said years ago. You just showed that video clip. He was adamant that Johnson and the Conservatives have to go. And now he's going back on it. But that's the man himself, hollow, nothing to him. He's just a liar. He throws people under the bus. He's out for himself. He doesn't care. He's got the King's speech coming up today. Tomorrow, who knows what's going to happen. But seriously, he doesn't give a damn. He's just a hollow person. Needs to go. And we keep saying it. Resignation watch, retirement watch, whatever you want to call it. The man, they'd have to drag him out.
Reality watch is what I'm calling it. If you are just waking up, what he was referencing at 6 o'clock was, I played a video, I'm going to play it all goddamn morning. The front of Keir Starmer to come to power and say, it's not about cronyism, it's about your country. This was him in 2022 taking direct aim at Boris Johnson. Just listen to the words, man.
None of this nonsense about clinging on for a few months. He's inflicted lies, fraud and chaos in the country. And, you know, we're stuck with a government which isn't functioning in the middle of a cost of living crisis. And the change we need is not a change at the top of the Tory party. It's much more fundamental than that. We need a change of government and a fresh start for Britain. His own party have finally concluded that he's unfit to be Prime Minister. They can't now inflict him on the country for the next few months. It's obvious he's unfit to be Prime Minister. That's been blindingly obvious for a very, very long time.
Isn't it unimaginable to think that 4 years ago he was talking about himself? Front page of The Sun today, by the way. He's got his thumb up. About to suck it, I've no idea. Crisis? What crisis? It's the hypocrisy of this man is beyond me. The country has lost faith in you, Starmer. Your party has lost faith in you. Let's just go back to it. 100 MPs want him gone. 4 ministers have resigned. Cabinet ministers have been jostling for position. And all of that, as Travelling Boz says, the country is sliding towards I don't know what. Jez, good morning. We need the King to say he's too poorly to open Parliament. Prince William, who could stand in, needs to be on his way to Scotland. We should postpone the King's speech and bring this farce of a government to the end. Morning to Linda. Jez, Linda from Worcester. Starmer is going to go full on with his communist scorched earth ideology. He's the UK version of Ping in China. The UK will become the People's Republic of the UK. He's a communist and we're finished. Oh, lovely Tommy in with a cup of tea, thank you. The King could do the country a great service by phoning in sick. Do you remember that, by the way, in the old days? Sorry, I just got to do this. I watched something the other day. You know, like in the old days, Mark could get this, Christian probably. Nowadays you can just text, apparently, and say I'm not well, but you had to get the voice on, didn't you? You had to go into the hall and get your voice in. Oh, I won't be in today. I've been up all night. I've got a bug. Shh. Phone the office. I don't know if I'll be well enough to come in tomorrow, but I hope so. Can't do that anymore. If you are calling in sick today, let me know what excuse you've come up with. Is it Starmeritis? I mean, are you so paralysed by the thought that this idiot is still in charge that you feel incapable of joining us, Alarm Clock Brits, and getting on with it? I understand and can sympathise. 0344 499 1000. We must put country before party, says Lammy. Only with Labour, that's a complete another lie, isn't it? Norman. Morning, Jez. After watching various news outlets last night... Really? Various? The only person who actually spoke any sense was David Blunkett. Oh, sorry, Charlie Rowley's just texted me. I'm so sorry. I've woken up this morning shaking and shivering and can barely move. I don't know where he's woken up, shaking and shivering. That means... I don't know whether this means he's ill or something untoward has happened, but I have no idea. Charlie, let's get him on the phone. He should be able to come on the phone and just explain his absence. Let's get him on the phone. Back to Norman, who says that the only person who speaks any sense is David Blunkett, and I'm no Labour supporter. Apparently Starmer just doesn't listen to his senior advisers, and the Labour Party are in serious internal turmoil. As if we did not figure that out. Please do not forget Starmer was a Corbynite, and they have lost all connection with the normal average citizen. They have no idea how we actually live. Gotta go now. 6 a.m. I'm late for work. Yeah, Norm, I get you completely. Paul's in Essex. Morning, Paul. The King's speech today should be short and sweet. He should dissolve Parliament and call a general election. 0344 499 1000. Text to 87222 635. Ellie, good morning.
I've said this all along. He's there to break Britain. That's his sole objective. And then it will bring us back into Europe, including the European army. That's coming as well, because we're going to need it by then. So we'll all be getting our kids conscripted thanks to Starmer. Think about that if you voted Labour last time and you got a son.
There's a lot of miserable people. I'm not surprised. It was sort of yesterday was Resignation Watch. Today's sort of become a reality television show, hasn't it? What is going to happen? Does anybody... I'd love to know what you think is going to happen. I mean, is Streeting going to march into Downing Street and say, listen, mate, right? Unless you do the decent thing, I'm sticking my head above the parapet. Probably not, because Ed Miliband's already put himself in as leader in order to block Wes Streeting. It's extraordinary. Burnham, the man whose eyebrows meet in the middle, nobody you can trust in my humble mind. He came down to London yesterday. By the way, the train he took, man of the people, he was in a first-class carriage. Just saying that. Just thought I'd drop that in. 0344 499 1000. God, it's busy. Jez, I think he wants to set the new agenda in the King's speech. Digital ID, closer ties with Europe. He wants to ensure he has a legacy. I'll tell you what his legacy is. That of a liar, that of a fraud, that of somebody with no plan, no political DNA, who is more interested in holding on to the power of being Prime Minister than doing right by all the people listening to this right now who are out working and earning tax, wanting to fill in Coventry. What all these shenanigans with smarmy Starmer and the Labour Party in general has shown is the absolute lack of quality and professionalism in government. Who on earth would ever vote for this shower again? Matt's in Egham. Morning, Matt. Last night I was in A&E with my mum. The queue was out at the door. People sitting on the floor as all chairs were taken. Every room was taken, Jez, and I counted nearly 20 beds in corridors. How has Labour helped the bloody NHS? More Starmer lies, and how can we trust Wes Streeting to run the country when he's made such a mess if he can't run the NHS? Interesting point, Matt. Morning, Jez. I don't know who this is. You wait 14 years in opposition, craft the most carefully triangulated, not the Tories manifesto in human history, put forward Keir human PowerPoint Starmer as the safe pair of hands, win a massive majority, and then proceed to implode faster than a wet paper towel in a hurricane. Absolutely unbelievable. Carl, good morning.
Hi, Jeremy. Carl here from Coventry. Yeah, can't believe it. The fake champagne's still on ice. Can't believe it. Can't believe he's still there. But there again, we should believe it, because the bloke's a narcissist. It's just about him. And not just that, there isn't one. We've got to look at it for the bigger picture. There isn't one MP that's going to vote for him to lose his job. So they're not going to vote him out because they know that'll be the start of the fall. I'm afraid we're stuck with him. We're stuck with him until the actual Labour MPs grow a pair, and I'm on about all of them. They need to grow a pair. I know they're thinking of their own job, and most people would, but there's times when you've got to put the country first, and they're ruining the country. And just like the clip you showed, Kemi should be on the warpath doing exactly what he was doing when Boris Johnson messed up. I'm just gutted, Jeremy, just gutted. I really do hope that this is the start of him going, though, but it's unbelievable. Great programme, Jeremy.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back, 20 minutes to 7 o'clock. We have heard from Charlie Roddy. He is ill, but bearing in mind that I said that the old way of phoning in sick has gone, I'm trying to get him to come on air and phone in sick live on air to see whether I think he's telling the truth. But so he's not answering his phone now. It's unbelievable, isn't it? The professionalism. I'm joking. Bless him. Those trainers, he got wet feet and a chilly chest, I imagine. No, 344 499 1000. Pete in Colchester, you should save your sick days until you're well enough to enjoy them. I figured out Starmer's weekend appointments. Harman sounds a bit like Starmer. I think the Harriet Harman debacle is something to do with Jez Phillips resigning as well, because didn't she come in, Harman, as sort of something to do with equality in women? It's just all pontificating. I'm not going to bore you. You lot trying to go to work. Starmer has announced some of the bills in the King's speech tomorrow. Improved trade, energy independence bill, new immigration laws, a firm but fair system, national security legislation, powers to nationalise British steel. The fact is, right, I've been talking about this BS for ages. Do something, man. Have the courage to... See, that's it. He's got any conviction. Morning, Adrian.
Morning, Jeremy. It's Adrian from East Sussex. So, are we actually now saying that we have no mechanism in the United Kingdom to deal with a rogue administration? So what happens if Labour decides that everybody over the age of 50 needs to be culled? Or we need to hand over the keys to Russia or China? I thought the King was meant to be our safety valve rather. If that's not the case, what is the point for having him? Just food for thought. Good luck all.
Do you know, I actually end up thinking that I should leave this show every day and probably check myself into rehab. Don't get too miserable. He's on the way out, but I understand the frustration. Morning, Jez. I was so excited yesterday to think that Starmer was going and hopefully taking that awful Lord Hermer with him. By the way, that was another great thing. He fell over the step on the way out, Hermer. I wish that had happened. Flat on his face. I woke up at 3 a.m. to help my disabled husband and I've been awake ever since and listening to that cowards in his party won't stand up and get rid of him. Mary, you're a top lady. Thank you for your support. Glyn is in Catterick. Love it there. Morning, Jeremy, lad. Yeah. Starmer is more concerned about one thing himself. Person before party before country. Can't have him. Couldn't agree more. Completely agree. Gemma. I knew Wes when he was head of the NUS. I believe in his character and him being fundamentally a good person. I actually hope that he will do something about this ridiculous mess today, but I'm worried my hopes won't come to fruition. Gemma in Exeter, OK, she said she knew him when he was head of the... Is that the National Union of Students? Was he the head of that? If Wes Streeting believes that the Labour Party is heading in the wrong direction, then have the balls, my friend, to go and say it. Now, you might then be sacked as Health Secretary, but I'm going to give you an example that you won't like. One of the reasons that I've supported Robert Jenrick's defection to reform, not many others, and I'm being completely straight, I'm talking about his situation. He worked for the Immigration Service in the Home Office, saw what it did, and resigned because he didn't believe Sunak's government were doing enough. So even if you lose your job, Wes, I would presume that you would look better in the eyes of the voters. You've got a constituency, I know, where there's a paper-thin majority. I just, you know, this showdown this morning between Wes Streeting and Keir, where are the others? Where are the others? It all comes down to who plays their hand first. And the problem with that is it becomes a game and the country is left to just try and get through it. Morning, Jez. Is it true Starmer has stopped 3 people coming to the UK to speak at the rally on Saturday? Communism at its finest. So much for free speech. I do hope Trump's watching this, says Paul, who's no loyalty whatsoever because he sat in Spain. That was a joke, my friend. Good morning to Steve. Charlie Rowley's got the shakes. We should call it a case of the Starmers. We're all shaking at the prospect of this useless Labour Party staying in power. He's trying to collapse the country so that the EU will come to the rescue and he gets what he's always wanted. Really? Adrian's in Buckhurst Hill. Posh there. Crisis? What crisis? Remember the last PM to say it? Was Sonny Jim Callan on returning to the UK in '79. It prompted the election of Margaret Thatcher and 18 years of Labour in the wilderness. Bring it on. Let's go to Devon. Colin, good morning. What part of Devon, my friend?
Morning, I'm in Seaton.
Oh, I know it very well. Seaton's beautiful. My parents used to live just along the coast from there. Lovely. They don't now because they're dead. Anyway, what do you want to say, my friend?
Well, you know, I think all I can get from the Prime Minister is arrogance and aloofness. It's almost as though with his need to move towards Brussels, he seems to be looking at, I don't know, possibly president, and that's his aim. I can't see any other reason for him keeping his viewpoint and keeping him in place as a Prime Minister. He just wants to be president, not have the decisions, but to be able to pass those decisions to other people, which is what he seems to do as Prime Minister.
I mean, I think it's really interesting that you know, the aphrodisiac of power is obviously completely and utterly all-consuming. We had Matt Vickers, the deputy chairman of the Tory party, on yesterday, and he was saying, it was a really great analogy. He said, you know, when you come in as an MP, it's a bit like smoking a bit of weed, and then when you become a minister, you quite get to like cocaine, and when you become Prime Minister, you're addicted to heroin. It's just, and I imagine that Starmer, for you know, some people say for all of his value, I don't think he's got any value whatsoever. So I think he failed dismally as the Director of Public Prosecutions, Jimmy Savile, close brackets, and I think he's been an appalling Prime Minister. But to be showing your true colours to the country, which is, I am more interested in, and it's the BS, isn't it? Oh no, to get on with creating growth. You've destroyed growth. You've increased unemployment. You've raised tax. You've done everything conceivably wrong, and you've got the front to think that we still want you there. I couldn't agree more. Thank you, my friend. Let's go to Lee. Morning, Lee.
Morning, Jez. Lee from Scarborough in his van, veteran. I said he was going to hold on, didn't I? He's going to hold on to the very, very end, and he's going to ruin this country. The country's already on its knees, and he's there fighting to hold on to power. Oh, my God. Starmer, wake up. The Labour Party, what are these MPs thinking? They represent us. They work for us, the people. We sent a clear message to them the other week in the elections, and it just is completely deluded, ignored us, wants to take us back into Europe. What an absolute plonker. Rodders, let's have you out. Great show, Jezza. Bye.
Do you remember that great clip where he went, I don't know how to put this. You don't live here no more. Have you seen? Got to get that. So I'm just going to send that to Starmer. Here, Keir, how do I put this? You don't live here no more, you plonker. Morning, JK. Sadly, because Starmer is clinging on, we've all forgotten what will be in the King's speech. The EU-SSR by the back door. Digital ID, says Cliff in Berkshire. Andy's in Coventry. Morning. It appears that Charlie has joined Sick Note Britain. Does he get sick pay or benefits from the show? Has he responded to you, Rowley? What does he say? He can barely hold a phone. Yeah. Well, we're very, very sorry, Charlie, that you're ill. See, in the old days, you could take the mickey and go, you skiving toe rag. Can't do that now because he'll probably get anxiety and then he'll sue me. No, listen, Charlie's not well and we should respect the fact that he's got the shakes. But as Christian's just said, he says he can barely hold the phone, but he's texted Christian whilst obviously holding his phone. But it's not for me to do an investigation into whether he's... Bless him, he's a good friend of mine, and I hope he feels better. And it proves one thing, don't drink so much. I'm joking! It's OK, don't worry about it. Starmer's like the ultimate banana adversary. We now need Farage's man to sort out the problem. Oh, sorry, not banana, Batman. Where did banana come from? Total idiot. Thank you, Pete. A school road of motoring. What? Morning, Jez. You suggested the reason Starmer has his thumb up on the front page of The Sun. Well, he should stick it up his backside. Brilliant. OK, fantastic. Alarm clock, Brits. CJ, I can't come in today as I've got no work because of this useless government that I did not vote for. Plus, the real reason I'm not going to work, boss, is because there's a spider near my car keys. There's a spider near my car keys. I've got laminitis, so I'm calling in sick today. Brilliant. Just a bit of fun, not because of Charlie Rowley. We didn't know when we did this that he was... Well, we did. He's sick. I was just remembering the examples that people would give trying to make a note or make a call. What would your excuse be? What's the best excuse you've ever given for being off sick? Have you ever pulled a sickie? I mean, we hope Starmer will pull a sickie, but nothing's happening. 87222. We're live across the UK. Great show, by the way, lined up. Richard Tice, Deputy Leader of Reform UK, kicks off the next hour. Reform riding high. Latest YouGov opinion poll this morning put them 11% in the lead. That's the highest lead in the last 273 polls. Quite switched on with the numbers, me. Also got Alex Burkhardt, Shadow Chancellor, Duchy of Lancaster. He'll tell us the Tory view. And Nigel Evans, former Deputy Speaker, 30 years an MP for the Ribble Valley. He'll talk more about the King's speech today, which is it's full of pomp and ceremony. And here's the irony. Starmer's got to... Has he got to wear tights? Probably not. He's got to walk from the Lords to the Commons or vice versa, next to what's she called? Kemi, and make polite conversation where everybody's going to go, oh. Oh, Graham and Bushy, Rowley has made you look a right Charlie today. Thank you very much. Wonder if the King today could tell stupid Starmer to just stop clinging on like a hemorrhoid and just go as he's making Britain look like a doormat on the world stage. Well, we've reached it. At 10 minutes to 7, 50 minutes in, the Prime Minister has been described by a gentleman from Alarm Clock Britain as indeed a hemorrhoid. Back in 3.
The world is on fire. Russia, Iran, China, conflicts brewing in all of their different regions. They're not waiting. But here in Britain, our armed forces are underfunded, they're undermanned, and they're underprepared. And nobody in government wants to talk about it. Well, we do. I'm Philip Ingram, and I spent my career in the world of intelligence, military planning, strategic planning, and unfortunately, conflict. This is Talk War, and this is where we analyse the conflicts shaping our world.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
What if you're waking up 7 minutes to 7? We're live across the United Kingdom. Welcome to Talk. Breakfast is the home of common sense and the home of the alarm clock Brit. Keir Starmer still clinging on. Wes Streeting and he are set for a number 10 showdown this morning. Yesterday, Starmer defied quits to call and just basically said, I'm not talking about it, and locked himself in his study. Yesterday's turmoil, the only way to describe it, saw Ed Miliband, there's a surprise, put himself forward as an alternative to Wes Streeting. Andy Burnham, the self-styled messiah of Manchester, the man whose eyebrows meet in the middle. He arrived in London to meet with MPs who support him. Don't know where that was. Angela Rayner, she said, I support Burnham, but if he don't get back into Parliament, I'll have to stand and do right thing by country. Lovely. Safeguarding Minister Jess Phillips, who's been working very hard around the background of safety and women's rights. She resigned, saying she hadn't really got the change or the help that she expected from Starmer and from the government. I would just add a little footnote there. On Sunday, when he brought Gordon Brown back as a fiscal advisor, don't go near him with gold. He also brought Harriet Harpoon back and gave her a brief that was probably similar to Jess Phillips. I suggest that Jess Phillips might be in a mood. We haven't heard of any other movement from the cabinet. That didn't sound right, did it, at 7 o'clock in the morning? And it's weird. You got 100 MPs who want him gone and 100 who were forced into signing letters saying he should stay. And all of this... oh, that was nice. All of this on the day the King's speech takes place. And lots of you were saying, why doesn't the King just phone in sick? Yeah, that might be a good idea. I mean, he is sick, bless him, and he cracks on, which says very little about Charlie. Yeah, doesn't it? The King's really ill, and he carries on, Charlie Rowley. Charlie's at home shaking, can't even hold the phone, but did text us. Dave in Aberdeen. Morning, JK. As a veteran, we never got the chance to phone in sick. We were given 2 ibuprofen and told to crack on. Thank God they wouldn't give him crack and told to ibuprofen on. Morning to Anna. She loves it so much she's in Finland. What the hell? Starminator isn't budging. He's throwing the whole party under a bus, using his MPs as cannon fodder. Someone resigns, no worries. I've got more. Happy days. Yeah, but in the end, what happens is they all get together. Chris is in Spain. Leave the lovely Charlie alone, Jez. When you were sick, we never hear the end of it. Sorry, have I had a day sick off this? Have I had a day sick off this show? I haven't had quite a few holidays. It's part of the... Honest to God, man. The stress of doing this, the anxiety that it causes, one has to just sort of do 7 or 8 weeks and have a week off, and I have to try and be Why am I justifying being here when Charlie Rowley's in bed? Send Starmer around to look after Charlie. He'll soon get better. Yeah, we should. Charlie was setting Starmer, and I'll be at work in 5 minutes. Carol Ann is in Pontypridd, is it? Or as I heard somebody say on a station once, Dave's in Pontypridd. I can't go to work today. I've got labour pains. Very good. And that's from that is Carol Ann, because obviously it could have come from a man, because men can get pregnant as well, can't they, in Starmer's world. Darren's in Jersey. He's obviously loaded. Morning, Jezza. All this talk about Streeting heading for Showdown. He'll come out after the meeting saying he backs Starmer. Couldn't agree with you more, my friend. Thank you. Hello to Lisa and Bolton. Morning, Jezza. Are you concerned what Starmer may be up to whilst he's hanging on? No, not really. I just feel that he's clinging on for a reason. A cornered dog is a worry. Right. So Keir Starmer is a cornered dog. Roger says, I think party manifestos should be legally binding contracts with the country. If 3 policies have failed, a new general election should be triggered. So much going on. Anna, good morning.
Morning, Jed. Anna, sorry. I do want a general strike. I want the whole country to come out in the streets. I want to force this government out. I don't want a replacement for Stalin. I want them gone. I want to make this so painful, not violently painful, but financially painful. And I want to embarrass them. I want to shame them. I want to humiliate them, that no government following ever dares do it again. This man is a dictator.
We cannot in any way condone a general strike. That's not what we do here. But I understand the frustration that is undoubtedly building. Good morning, JK. In the words of Victor Meldrew, I don't believe it. I don't believe it. Says Ty. No, Sue from Essex. Couldn't we ask Trump to remove him like he did that bloke in Venezuela? Yeah, that could happen. I'm not sure. What about the Straits of Hormuz? Never mind. Joanna. Hi, Jez. Charlie Rowley is still undercover trying to get the exclusive in number 10. He's been under the table in number 10, but so far there has been nothing of substance to report. They are all too busy licking Starmer's shoes and learning their lines. So Charlie Rowley isn't sick. He's working as a mole inside number 10. I have no idea what he's up to. I never know what the man's up to. Listen, it's an extraordinary morning again, right? So, as ever with this show, we go with the stories that matter to you. There are other stories in the newspaper, but yesterday was Resignation Watch. Today it's like a bloody reality television show, isn't it? What is going to happen next? Is Streeting going to have a pair big enough to say to Starmer, if you don't today lay out a timetable to move, I don't care if I'm the least popular person in this party, I am going to put my head above the parapet. But he will be terrified that he will lose the opportunity. But then if he doesn't go, he'll lose the opportunity. And that's what happens. That's what it becomes. Sean, good morning. How are you?
Morning, Jeremy. Sean from Grimsby here. After listening to the debacle in number 10 last night, you know, only the Labour Party can cause an absolute shambles from an absolute shambles. The politicians who don't want Keir to go, they're just concerned about the jobs for the next couple of years and the perks they're going to lose if the new person kicks them out. The people who want Keir gone are too cowardly to do the right thing for the whole country. All of them are just too cowardly to do the right thing for the country, and that tells you everything you need to know about the Labour Party. They can't govern properly, they can't even get rid of the Prime Minister properly. They're absolutely useless, Jeremy. Good riddance to a lot of them, mate. Great show, mate.
Morning to Christina in central London. Keir is completely deluded. The longer he refuses to leave, the more he disrespects the British people. He couldn't care less and wants to hold on to power at all costs. Hi, Jez. Starmer's chum Herma went into number 10 early yesterday, no doubt to discuss tactic. It's almost 7 o'clock. We're live across the United Kingdom. Talk Breakfast is on. It's the home of common sense. We want to hear your views on the big news of the day. 0344 499 1000. Richard Tice, Reform's Deputy Leader, is next after the news at 7.
across the UK. On DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
There you are. Welcome back or welcome along. Just gone 7 o'clock, Wednesday, 13th of May. We're live across the UK on the home of common sense. This is where alarm clock Brits come to have their say. Richard Tice, Deputy Leader of Reform in just a tick, but you'll know the shenanigans. He's still in number 10, hanging on by his fingertips. Most of the Labour Party hasn't got a pair big enough to confront him. We've got 100 MPs who want him gone, 100 who have been forced into a letter saying he should stay. Everybody's had their say. And whilst all of this madness continues, economically, we're on our backside. Internationally, we're a laughing stock. I'm going to start every hour. In fact, I'm going to play this all morning. I make no apology. The hypocrisy of this man does not even bear thinking about. I'll take you back 4 years, 2022. He was talking about Boris, but I would respectfully suggest he might just as well have been looking at a crystal ball and talking about himself.
None of this nonsense about clinging on for a few months. He's inflicted lies, fraud and chaos in the country. And, you know, we're stuck with a government which isn't functioning in the middle of a cost of living crisis. And the change we need is not a change at the top of the Tory party. It's much more fundamental than that. We need a change of government and a fresh start for Britain. His own party have finally concluded that he's unfit to be Prime Minister. They can't now inflict him on the country for the next few months. It's obvious he's unfit to be Prime Minister. That's been blindingly obvious for a very, very long time.
It's amazing, Richard Tice, Deputy Leader of Reform, how switched on he was about himself 4 damn years ago, my friend, eh?
It's extraordinary. It's as though we're sort of talking to a mirror a few years later. I mean, absolutely remarkable. You touched on something. There are two things today, Jeremy. First of all, I think we need some sympathy for, apart from us, British citizens, but also some sympathy for the King. I mean, the King is going to Parliament today to read a speech about my government wants to do this, this and that, when actually, I mean, he might as well suggest that I'm not sure my government knows what to do or who should lead it.
Well, there are lots of people phoning in this morning saying the King should go sick. I mean, it is fundamentally, I mean, your first King's speech, very exciting, lots of pomp and pageantry, but
it's my second.
Oh, all right. God, you see, it always gets me, doesn't it? But what an absolute chaotic shambles. I mean, I spent 4 hours yesterday on Resignation Watch. It's turned into a reality television show. We've got, I mean...
You're quite good at that.
Thank you very much. Yeah, you will be as well when it's all over. I can see you on I'm a Celebrity. 100 Labour MPs who came out and said you got to go. 4 ministers resigned, including Jess Phillips. That was pretty toxic as well. Then you've got others who are freely admitting they were phoned by whips and told to sign something saying he should stay. This cabinet meeting where he refused to discuss it and then locked himself in his study and refused to talk to anybody. This cannot go on. This is unbelievably narcissistic, but more than that, what they quite rightly said about the Tories, about how, you know, they would come in, it would be country before party, cronyism was dead. They've managed to eclipse, I think, even the Tories in 22 months, Richard.
It is remarkable, and it becomes expensive for everybody when you look at the economic cost, which plays out by the second in the bond markets, which are basically taking fright. The cost of 30-year government debt has risen to a 28-year high at some 5.8%. The cost of 10-year government debt has risen to about 5.1%. That means higher mortgages. That hits people every month in mortgage repayments. These are all the things that Labour blamed the Tories for when they talked about Liz Truss.
Well, I was going to ask you, you're a financial man. Can you see a situation where the markets are spooked to the point where he's forced out that way? Or do you think it will happen naturally? Because you might disagree with me. He is absolutely a dead man walking. There's no way back from this. It's just when, isn't it?
That's what everybody concludes. But the markets are spooked. It's just a question of degree. And markets, they sort of move at a level, and then it's a bit like going up or down some stairs. They suddenly move to a completely different level.
Yeah.
And at the moment that level is nudging upwards. We should also keep a very close eye on the currency markets, the value of the pound against other currencies, because if it becomes a one-way trade, then that means that a Labour Chancellor, whoever that may be, would then have to impose significant spending cuts, which, in a sense, Labour MPs don't want to do, even though actually that's exactly what's required to cut out the vast amounts of wasteful spending. So, yeah, this is it's a chaotic picture, and markets don't like uncertainty, and that's going to make everything more expensive for us in a government that basically is borrowing, give or take, 140 billion a year. So the cost of, just I think it was yesterday, government borrowed another £4 billion.
Yep.
And so the whole economic mismanagement is the reason we've got a cost of living crisis, and the reason everyone's bills are going up. Partly driven, of course, by high energy bills, because we're importing all this energy, not using our own energy treasure. These are the real things that matter to individuals outside the reality TV show.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, maybe you should be sort of chaperoning the whole show. I mean, this is...
Let's get Keir Starmer on the Jeremy Kyle show. He's going to do a lie detector test. I want to ask you a few questions about him, right? On the back of some extraordinary news for reform today, obviously last week, unbelievable local election results, 1,454 seats, the control of 14 councils. The Green thing's quite interesting. Zach Polanski's being outed on a daily basis about lying, but Starmer never misses an opportunity to stick the boot into reform, which would tell me that means you're doing something right. But just some quick questions. Has he become a squatter in number 10, Richard?
Yes, I think that's what it sort of looks like to everybody, doesn't it? He's desperate to cling on.
Why?
Why?
Is he addicted to power?
Well, I think everybody can see it for what it is. It's a charade. Who would have thought 22 months ago, when he came in on a promise to bring transparency and integrity and public
He's doing
service.
it now, Tice. He's doing it now.
We have to try and laugh amongst all of this chaos. I mean, it really is it's embarrassing, and it's humiliating us on the international stage. And that's where we are.
I'm going to pay you a kit where your party gets slagged off by a man who I say to anybody who thinks that they can achieve the impossible dream should keep believing. David Lammy, take it away.
We must put country before party. It's been 24 hours now, and nobody has come forward to put themselves forward in the processes that exist in the party. No one seems to have the names to stand up against Keir Starmer. And for those who are suggesting that he should stand down, they should say which candidate would be better. Let's get on with the business of running this country and government. That's what I've been doing today. That's what the Prime Minister's been doing. And I urge colleagues to step back and not benefit Nigel Farage and reform.
They're terrified, aren't they, Richard? They're terrified.
Totally terrified. And the one thing that they're not doing is getting on with the business of running the country, if only.
I know.
This whole charade. And the simple fact is, you've got Mad Red Ed Miliband with his ridiculous dash towards net stupidity.
I think he'll be the next Prime Minister, Richard. I think he'll come straight through the middle, and that scares me more than anything.
Absolutely right, because in the King's speech today, we're told there's going to be at least one bill related to net zero, linking us closer to the EU energy markets, which is the last thing in the world we should be doing. We need to be energy independent, sovereign independent, using our own oil and gas, because we know that's what makes us better off with lower bills. All of these things, they're not running the government. They're running us down into absolute penury. That's what they're doing.
It was quite interesting. I don't know if you saw it overnight. Donald Trump said he didn't actually say he should go. He said probably the most diplomatic. He said you got it round the wrong way. You've got your borders open and your North Sea oil fields closed. You need to open the North Sea oil fields and close your borders. Donald Trump on the money. How long then, in your mind, how long does I mean, I'm sure Reform are just sitting there watching the shenanigans and rubbing their hands. How long's he got left in your mind, pal?
I don't know. I think he'll be lucky to see the summer holidays in his current job. But, actually, I really am. We are getting on with the job that we were instructed to do by millions of voters last Thursday. We're getting on with the job of electing leaders and cabinets for our many councils. That's what we're focused on. We are running what the voters have instructed us to run and doing an excellent job about it. And I would just reiterate to everybody, many of your listeners and viewers who kindly voted for reform, actually, what voters said last Thursday, Jeremy, is they said they want more reform, not less reform, in particular in areas where we already had county councils. So we're delighted with that. We're just pushing on. This Labour reality TV show will play out. I think everybody assumes that Starmer's a goner. We should have some sympathy for His Majesty the King. And over the next few days, we'll be debating the King's speech in the Houses of Commons. And I think, frankly, everybody in the opposition benches will just be aghast at the complete and utter mess and disunity and chaos on the Labour bench.
And I'm quite strong on this. I don't believe it's anything other than incompetence. I don't think there's a conviction politician amongst them. I had a massive argument with some bloke yesterday who said, the plan's working. They haven't had a plan. They got in by default because of the sheer incompetence of the Tory party. And whilst this, as you quite rightly say, shenanigans continues, where he's handling power and they're all terrified to show their heads above the parapet in case they get shot down. The country's in the middle of, I think, probably the worst state we've been for as long as I can remember, certainly in terms of the situation with immigration, with defence, with law and order, with taxation. It's a disgrace. And I said this, I mean, we've mentioned already, but just briefly, the YouGov poll today, putting Reform 28%, 11 points clear, the highest lead you've had. People had said over the last few weeks and months, it's beginning to bottom out. I saw a thing this morning that said that people in Reform would expect that to go higher. Do you think the establishment will ever accept how popular Reform is?
No, the establishment is absolutely terrified. They cannot believe, despite all of the nonsense, the drivel, the twaddle, the lies, the libel against Nigel, against me, against other Reform leaders. Actually, voters have said we want more reform, not less reform. We're getting a huge reform momentum. That YouGov poll yesterday, that's the biggest ever lead of 11% that we've had on YouGov. So,
and that, by the way, that poll gives you a majority in the House of Commons, Richard. It gives you a majority.
Yeah, and to do what is needed to be done to save the United Kingdom from the damage of the previous two regimes, we need a decent majority. That's the clear thing. We need a majority to get stuff done, to carry out what needs to be done to make us better off, to bring down the bills, to get some proper law and order, and to turn off the immigration tap. That's the only net zero we want.
Absolutely. And just very quickly, did you see the story this morning? 8 million people are now on some sort of benefit and 2 million of them aren't working and never have any intention of working. That's surely got to be something for my alarm clock Brits who are up at whatever time. That infuriates people. And this government has done nothing about that at all.
They made it a lot worse. I think there's an extra 1.5 million who are claiming benefits, out-of-work benefits, since this government took over, something of that order. There's about 6 million and rising on out-of-work benefits, and it is infuriating. Your listeners and viewers and so many people that I spoke to during the election campaign in recent weeks.
Really interesting, mate. I know you're a busy, busy man. You're shooting off. You got your cup of tea there and doing the rounds. We'll see you tomorrow. We really appreciate it. Deputy Leader of Reform, Richard Tice, talking about that YouGov poll out this morning. Reform at 28%, an 11-point lead on the back of those local election results as we sit and we watch the reality TV mess that is Keir Starmer's just dysfunctioning government. I just want to read again because I fully appreciate that people listen at different times of the day. It's this great article from Dan Hodges, who's going to be on the show at 8 o'clock this morning. He says, the idea that this situation is sustainable is lunacy. The previous Tory administration pushed the boundaries of dysfunctional national government to the limits, but at the Tory party's credit in the end, ministers, MPs and Prime Ministers reached a point where they recognised loyalty to their country had to trump loyalty to their party. Keir Starmer and his Labour Party currently have neither the humility nor the dignity to place the national interest ahead of their own. The reality, and I completely agree with Dan Hodges, is that the Prime Minister does not give a damn about fighting for the working people of Britain. If he did, he would recognise that his own weakness is now leaving them defenceless at a time of unique international and economic peril. I could not have put it better myself. He's on the show, by the way, after 8 o'clock. Dan Hodges this hour as well. Alex Burghardt, front bencher for the Tories. His response, Nigel Evans, who was the Deputy Common Speaker for 30 years, because it's the King's speech day. How sorry do I feel for the King? My government will bring in various policies, do an awful lot of net zero, would be lovely. Oh, God, they've been thrown out. What an absolute to come again, Camilla. There we go. Morning, John.
Morning, Jazz. John from the Whittle here. Alarm clock Brit. One of the many jams. Do you think with this PM being so self-serving that he rushed the renters' right bill through so they can't evict him from number 10? He's so self-serving, he's only doing things for himself. Do you think he's got kids in Breakfast Club? What else has he rushed through that's going to benefit him? Makes me sick. I've had to put the champagne back in the fridge, but it will be open soon. Cracking show.
The world is on fire. Russia, Iran, China, conflicts brewing in all of their different regions. They're not waiting. But here in Britain, our armed forces are underfunded, they're undermanned, and they're underprepared. And nobody in government wants to talk about it. Well, we do. I'm Philip Ingram, and I spent my career in the world of intelligence, military planning, strategic planning, and unfortunately, conflict. This is Talk War, and this is where we analyse the conflicts shaping our world.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back, 7:20 Wednesday morning. We're live across the United Kingdom. If you're waking up, the news is that the reality television show that's become the Labour Party is still in full swing. Most of us were believing that yesterday would be the day that Keir Starmer went. Well, he's still in. This morning he's set for another 10 showdown with his main detractor, Wes Streeting, the man who apparently has been plotting since he was born. But he hasn't stuck his head above the parapet. Yesterday, 100 Labour MPs saying we want you gone. Another 100 apparently phoned up by whips and said sign this letter saying he should stay. 4 ministers went, including Jess Phillips. Ed Miliband put himself forward as an alternative to Wes Streeting. Yeah, and you're not interested, of course you are. The Messiah of Manchester arrived first class to Euston Station, Andy Burnham, to meet with MPs who supported his return. No truth in the room, he met them in a phone box. That was just a joke, I don't know why I did it. And Rayner went, you know what, I'm happy to support Andy, but if Andy can't get back in, I'm going to have to take Starmer on. But none of them have a pair big enough to stick their necks on the line and say, I'll do it now, because they know that the first person that casts the vote never wins the crown. And that's why it's so disgraceful. And I'll tell you what I'm going to do, because I'm going to play this all day. I'm going to play the clip again before I go to Alex Burghardt from the Tory party. This is what Starmer said 4 years ago about Boris bloody Johnson. Have a watch.
None of this nonsense about clinging on for a few months. He's inflicted lies, fraud and chaos in the country. And, you know, we're stuck with a government which isn't functioning in the middle of a cost of living crisis. And the change we need is not a change at the top of the Tory party. It's much more fundamental than that. We need a change of government and a fresh start for Britain. His own party have finally concluded that he's unfit to be Prime Minister. They can't now inflict him on the country for the next few months. It's obvious he's unfit to be Prime Minister. That's been blindingly obvious for a very, very long time.
My late mum used to have a phrase, pot and kettle. Never, never has that been more apt, has it, Alex Burkhart, Shadow Chancellor of the Duchy of Lancaster? Good morning, my friend. Unbelievable clip from 4 years ago.
Morning. Yeah, isn't it? I mean, just the most extraordinary hypocrisy. And I think what we've seen is that Keir Starmer has been exposed for what he actually is, and that's somebody who is not fit to be Prime Minister, somebody of very inconsistent values, and somebody who couldn't govern his way out of a paper bag. And now he's the truth and reality have come in to bite him very, very hard, to the point where it's very bad for the country now, Jeremy. I mean, you'll have seen that the cost of borrowing's going up. That's going to mean that more of our tax money is going to go to pay the interest on the UK's debt. It's going to be bad for the economy. You're going to see people lose their jobs as a result of this. The uncertainty is very, very bad. So, in the words of Macbeth, if it were done, 'twere better it were done quickly. Labour Party needs to get on with this and sort it out.
Completely agree, and I'd love the Tory take on yesterday. I mean, we were on Resignation Watch with a camera on 10 Downing Street, the comings and goings and the whole shenanigans. And you're quite right, as Dan Hodges says in the Mail today, we're in the middle of an economic and international crisis. And for a party that, and don't get me wrong, I thought they were thoroughly justified in talking about cronyism and lack of seeing it through and putting yourself in front of the country at the end of your party's reign, and you would agree that at the end it all went hopelessly wrong. But I cannot in any way think that any of us would have imagined, Alex, that a mere 22 months later, this lot have conspired to make it even worse. I mean, they're all running around. Have you heard the theory that this is all down to Mahmood? Have you heard that story this morning yet?
Yeah, I mean, this is the fog of war. There's so many stories going around. But you're right, Jeremy. And I thought that they would make a total pig's breakfast of it, but I didn't think it would fall apart so fast. And they sort of fell over almost the moment they walked into Downing Street with, you remember the Lord Alley scandal, and then the disastrous budget, and so on and so on and so on. And what we've seen actually over the past few days is the kind of massive collapse in politics in this country. There's massive problems the country's facing. Government can't deal with it. But also you've got Nigel Farage hiding away from the media because somebody put 5 million quid in his private bank account. You've got Zach Polanski from the Greens. It turns out he didn't pay his council tax and he's living in some massive London mansion now. And the only person who is actually pointing out exactly how wrong this government is going is Kemi Badenoch and the Conservatives, who's, to be fair to Kemi, her detailed, absolutely forensic opposition work is what's exposed that all the disasters that the Labour Party have brought forward. So it's why we've got the King's Speech today. Kemi's put forward an alternative King's Speech which would help us get down the cost of welfare, help us get down the cost of energy, take us out of the ECHR, make sure we can control our borders, make sure that we can reserve public services for local people, make sure we can protect our veterans, all of this. This is the agenda that the country needs. Instead, what you're going to see is this big Labour civil war with the Prime Minister holed up in his bunker in number 10 people getting Labour backbenchers to sign letters for or against. And they just need to sort this out.
Just a few quick questions, my friend. Great to have you on. What do you think of that? I mean, apparently there's a showdown this morning. Wes Streeting has wanted to be Prime Minister since he was 3, apparently, and has been plotting since that point. There's a showdown between him and Starmer before the King's Speech. They weren't allowed to show their hands yesterday, apparently. I mean, I'm just sat here, along with viewers and listeners, thinking absolutely what you said. Whilst all of this shenanigans are going on, this country's descending into utter chaos. Do you think that Streeting will show his hand this morning, Alex?
I don't know, Jeremy, and I think it's conceivable that after the King's speech is done, Streeting will resign and say, you know, I can't come to a deal with the Prime Minister. I'm off. I'm going to run. But I think he's going to have to wait until after all the pomp and ceremony is done, because it'd be a horrible thing to do to embarrass the King, who's about to come to Parliament and read out the King's speech. But isn't this the crazy thing, Jeremy, that what we have today, the King's speech, is where the government is meant to set out its agenda for the next kind of year or two. And we don't even know who the Prime Minister is going to be at the end of the day. The whole thing is ludicrous, and the Prime Minister is just trying to go on, pretend as though nothing is wrong, pretending like he's in charge. All of his authority is gone. He is in office, but not in power, and it's time for him to take responsibility, and it's time for the Labour Party to sort this mess out. If they've got any sense, whoever takes over will look at the work that Kemi and the Conservatives have been doing and take that on as their agenda, so that we don't have to wait 3 more years in order to get decent government in this country.
Let's go back to the King's speech. You make a really good point. I mean, you said you think that Streeting might resign afterwards. Nothing should impinge on that. The meeting's before with Starmer, but the King, I'd be thinking I should be phoning in sick if I was the King. I'm being completely serious. To sit in Parliament and go, this is the policy and bills of my government in its next stages of development. And as you say, by Friday, the guy that's written that, crafted it and fronted it could be political toast. It's a sham.
Yeah, well, it's a total sham. And, the King, for very good reasons, tries very hard to stay out of politics. But I mean, you can imagine his advisors saying, "Are you sure you want to put us through this?"
Yeah.
Because what if there's a new Prime Minister at the end of the week and they've got a new agenda, and everything that's been read out today is hogwash? The Labour Party needs to get a grip, it needs to take control, it needs to make sure, it needs to get a new leader, and it needs to listen to what the Conservative Party is saying and sort out the fundamental problems that this country faces. Otherwise, we'll just get a new leader, and there'll be another 3 years of this nonsense. Because the Labour Party is now
you'd allow me to say this to you, Alex, and you've always been good enough to come on, which is what happened at the end when it went from Johnson to Truss to Sunak, and people were like, "You're just changing it, and the problems aren't getting any better." Let me ask you your take, right, on the Tory take, if you like. I mean, I'm really strong on this. I don't believe that MPs who defect should be able to represent local constituencies without a by-election. I'm never going to change my opinion. I know people will tell me constitutionally you vote for a party, but I believe that as a figurehead, it is like almost a personal mandate. In fact, he said overnight, I was given a personal mandate to govern for 5 years, and that's what I'm going to do. If he does fall, when he falls, it is absolutely right and proper to say that a general election should be called. I didn't support Major taking over without one. I didn't support Gordon Brown. I don't think it's right for the British people. And one thing I've learned doing this job is the silent majority have woken up and they will demand a general election without any shadow of a doubt.
I think it's highly questionable whether the Labour Party is going to be able to hold itself together. And you've seen these big factions emerging. 100 people have supposedly signed a letter saying the Prime Minister should say. Actually, it turns out that some of them didn't agree to be on the letter. Yeah. I think almost 100 have said that he should go. You've been watching, that means that there's another 100 unaccounted for. That means that when those 100 people were approached by the Labour whips, they refused to sign. Now, we know that there are people backing Streeting, we know that there are people backing Ed Miliband, people who are backing Angela Rayner, Andy Burnham and so on. When somebody replaces Starmer, those rivalries aren't just going to disappear overnight, because none of those people has their own mandate, right? They'll have a mandate from a particular section of the Labour Party. So it's very likely that infighting will carry on. It would be quite a sensible thing for a new Labour leader to do, to seek their own mandate in the country. They won't do that. They won't have the guts to do that. They will cling on to power, and they will cling on to power without any sense of what they should do. It's why they need to look at what the Conservatives are proposing today to sort out our borders, sort out our cost of energy, sort out welfare and get more people into work. That's what the country needs.
Alex, final question. Again, doing the job correctly. You've said that Farage is hiding and Polanski's this, and I get all of that. Yeah. But I mean, would the Tories be ready for a general election, bearing in mind those local election results and whatever the establishment says about reform? If you look at the latest YouGov poll this morning, and that's quite intensive, they're back up to 28% and 11 points in the lead. So if there was a general election, Nigel Farage would be the winner, wouldn't he? Not the Tories right now.
But you are an old hand at this. You know that general elections focus the minds of a lot of voters.
Yeah.
Like, where is Farage's foreign secretary? Where's his defence secretary? Where are his policies on a whole range of issues? Where is his account of what happened with this £5 million? That when you put these people under scrutiny, actually there isn't much there. And you know, most voters, in my experience, are sensible, they care about their country, they want the right thing for their country. And it's not at all clear that this bunch of people have it. The Conservative Party, under Kemi, is recovering trust, it's recovering its sense of identity, it's going to bring down people's taxes, it's going to get proper growth in this country, it's going to fix this crazy legalistic world that Blair brought in. And give us a new future. You know, if we have to have that fight in the country at the general election in the next 6 months, we will do it and we will make our case, and I'm confident that we can prevail. But you and I both know that turkeys don't vote for Christmas. The Labour Party is going to cling on to power long after it's lost authority. Those Labour MPs are going to not want to give up their jobs. They are going to stay there and cling on. So I don't think a general election is coming.
Sadly, couldn't agree more, but great as ever to have you on. Good to get the Tory view. Alex Burkhart, Shadow Chancellor of the Duchy of Lancaster, thank you so much indeed, my friend. Live and exclusive from College Green, 0344 499 1000. Ahead of this news at 8 o'clock, we've got Graham Stringer, the Labour MP, one of the first out of the blocks to criticise and say, I don't want you there, Starmer. And next, Nigel Evans, ex-Deputy Leader of the Commons. Today, of course, the King's Speech, pomp and ceremony. And good morning.
Morning, Jeremy. Right, I think the country is in the hands of the King at the minute, a.k.a. Charles III. So his speech today, if he rocks up and says, OK, Mr. Sir Keir Starmer, a knight of this realm, basically you've taken the biscuit a little bit and it's time to leave, because nobody in the country likes you. Everything you've done is U-turned left, right and centre about everything you've said. Stop freezing old people to death in their own rooms. Don't do these things, Mr. Starmer. And then maybe people like you again. But unfortunately, they don't. Bring Farage in and he'll sort the situation out.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back, 7:36. We're live across the United Kingdom. Welcome to Talk Breakfast. It's the home of common sense. It's where your views on the news of the day matter. And my God, are they raining in this morning? Emma in Kent, do you think all the while this ridiculous government is tearing itself to shreds and not govern? Will anyone even notice any difference? Things might even improve. Good shout. Tony's in Bedford. Morning, Tony. Says, don't the 100 wanting Starmer to stay at the moment so they can get Burnham in to replace him? Probably. By the way, sorry, I know I did this yesterday. Andy Burnham. Can somebody please ring me and explain to me, I'll get you on, what is so great about this man? He's tried twice before to be the leader of the Labour Party. People from Manchester that I know don't say it suddenly, you know, the gardener bleeding Eden. I'd love to know how he apparently is the Messiah. Are you a Burnham fan? 0344 499 1000. Talk. Morning, Jez. I'm sick of people saying Starmer isn't running the country. I would strongly disagree. He's running the country into the bloody ground, says Dave in Carlton, who's off to the Breakfast Club. Jez, excuses for being late for work, and this is the God's honest truth. I was once late because Chris Eubanks' juggernaut got jammed at Elephant and Castle roundabout. When I told my boss, he laughed in my face and was speechless. This is because, if you do want to tell us your best reason for being off sick, Charlie Rowley, sadly unable to make the paper review this morning. He woke up shaking. Couldn't even hold a phone to come on and explain his absence, but could hold a phone to text us. That's not me being horrible, this is a fact. And so we were just wondering. Morning, Jez, I would love it if the King sat there, government speech in hand, then looked up at the camera and said, I can't do this, it's a pack of rice, it's all crap, I'm going. I'm sorry, I can't do this. Me and Camilla are going back to BP for a sherry or something. Said to my mother. Morning, John.
Morning, Jez. John from the Whittle here. Alarm clock Brit. One of the many jams. Do you think with this PM being so self-serving that he rushed the renters' right bill through so they can't evict him from number 10? He's so self-serving, he's only doing things for himself. Do you think he's got kids in Breakfast Club? What else has he rushed through that's going to benefit him? Makes me sick. I've had to put the champagne back in the fridge, but it will be open soon. Cracking show.
Lots of people putting champagne back in the fridge. Let's say a very good morning to the former Deputy Speaker of the House of Commons. On the day the King's speech, the irony, the pomp, the ceremony of the state opening of Parliament with a Prime Minister who probably won't even turn up. Nigel Evans, morning.
Good morning, how are you?
Well, yesterday was one of the happiest days of my life, and of course it didn't then carry through, but the end is nigh. But just a view before we talk ceremony today. Your view of yesterday, mate. He can't survive, can he? He can't.
No, he's politically dead. We all know it. He is the caretaker Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. That's all he is. He's the caretaker now. And we're just waiting to see who's going to replace him. It is literally only a matter of time. In my 32 years in the House of Commons, I've never seen such a shambles. And what a farce we're going to see today. His Majesty is going to read Keir Starmer's wish list. It is literally just a wish list, because we know that as soon hostilities, what we've got now at this moment is a ceasefire for His Majesty to come to the Palace of Westminster to read Keir's wish list. And as soon as the King is back in his carriage, back to Buckingham Palace, hostilities will resume. And it's literally only a matter of when is it going to happen. We all know it's going to happen. He is the caretaker Prime Minister of the United Kingdom.
It's quite interesting. So there's a showdown this morning between him and Wes Streeting. Yesterday, I'm still fascinated by yesterday. Have you read Dan Hodges? He's on After 8. Have you read his theory about what happened on Monday night? He said, basically, for people who are just tuning in, that Starmer realised the game was up and started phoning around senior ministers, one of which was Shabana Mahmood. This is what Dan writes this morning. He said, look, you need to set up a timetable for transition. He said, OK. Within 15 minutes, there had been a leak. I'm not saying where that might or might have come from, to the papers. And when he realised that he'd been stabbed in the back, in his words, he went absolutely nuclear and said, I'm staying here at all costs. Whilst he digs his heels in because of the aphrodisiac of power, the country's on its backside. But my question about Streeting as well, is he going to have the balls? Is anybody going to have the balls to climb over the edge and stick their head above a parapet? Because they don't. I mean, Wes Streeting, it's now or never, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. It's interesting that, of course, the no blame eviction legislation passed during the last Parliament, which I suspect is what he's using as his protection.
Yeah.
Starmer doesn't want to be evicted from 10 Downing Street. But the fact is, everybody knows he's toast. It's going to have to take somebody who is going to be brave enough to put the country before party and tell Starmer, I'm going, right? I'm resigning, because I can't carry on. That's what brought Boris Johnson down in the end. It was minister after minister after minister.
Well, so this started yesterday, Bud, and when the safeguarding minister, Jess Phillips, put the boot in, and by the way, I think that's something to do with Harriet Harpoon being in. That's just my humble opinion. I thought it would follow. Now, what's interesting, Alex Burkhardt just said from College Green, there's a strong belief that Streeting will resign today after the King's speech, not before, because that would be disrespectful. If you're Streeting, you can't wait for the left to gather arms. You have to strike now. And if you look at some of the junior ministers and PPSs that have actually resigned, they're all in his little group, which is really interesting. But if he wants to play his hand, there's no time like now. But I think he probably, I mean, I fully expect him to come out of Downing Street saying, you know, I've spoken to the Prime Minister and we're all as one. But the country knows that's an absolute joke, Nige.
No, it's not great for the country. I spoke to a number of Tories who said, we want Keir to stay. But it's not in the best interests of the country for Keir to stay. We can't carry on with this absolute shambles, and he really does need now to realise that the game is up. You've already said that we've got, almost 100 members of Parliament have said that he should go. The whips have then created this, the Labour whips have helped to get 100 signatures to say he should stay. But that leaves another 200 Labour MPs who are not signing that particular letter, which means basically if you're not prepared to sign that letter to say that Keir should stay, you're saying he should go, but you're not brave enough. You're not brave enough to come out and say he should go, but he needs to go. And then you've got that absolute wonderful image of Andy Burnham coming down from Manchester on that train into Euston yesterday, basically to chat to a number of Labour members of Parliament. He literally is the Prime Minister in waiting.
But how is he the Messiah, Nige? What is so impressive about a man that's lost the leadership election twice?
He's a nice guy, and he has done well for Manchester, except if you look at the local election results on last Thursday, they're not brilliant for the Labour Party around the Manchester area.
Well, do you know what I do? I know you will think this. I'm sticking up for reform. I'm not. I'm telling you what I think. If Starmer had a pair, because he hasn't, because he's gutless and he's a narcissist, I'd say, yeah, right, you want Andy Burnham back, you stand in Greater Manchester, because I'm telling you right here and right now, not just on that YouGov poll today, he wouldn't win the seat. I don't buy it. I didn't buy it when Talbot said to me yesterday, I think reform would trounce him in Manchester. But the truth of the matter is, this shambles is just going to be able to continue on. Couple of questions for you, right? The King, honestly, you can do this as the Deputy Speaker, X. The King has the legal authority to dissolve Parliament and call a general election. Imagine if he looked across the House today at the sheer incompetence in front of him and said, sod the lot of you, I'm dissolving Parliament. That won't happen, will it, Nige?
No, it won't happen. And even if Keir, because that's another speculation, Keir would go to the King and say, dissolve Parliament, let's have a general election. I don't believe then you're putting the King in an impossible position, because, of course, there would be somebody who could come forward and be able to form a government. They've got a healthy majority, let's be fair. They've got a huge majority. But the reality is that nobody is coming forward at this moment in time. And that is the problem. So we've got the caretaker Prime Minister, Keir Starmer, who is just carrying on, digging himself in.
Do you think Streeting will go over the top today, yes or no?
He should, and my answer is yes, because if he doesn't do it now, it's gone. The problem for Streeting is that if you allow the caretaker Prime Minister to carry on until September, then there's every chance that Andy Burnham would be able to find a seat. There'll be a seat somewhere. I know it's a long stretch. He'll find a seat somewhere where he's able to win. And then I'm afraid Streeting, Wes Streeting's lost it. He's lost that one opportunity. Those who want not Burnham to be the leader, the Prime Minister, they need to go now. That is the option, right? So that's where Wes is. So Wes cannot wait until September, when every chance is that somebody's going to give up their seat. because they'll be promised a peerage in the House of Lords, and then Andy Burnham will be in. So, you know, it's as simple as that. Wes has got to grow up.
So am I allowed to suggest to the other shows that they take my idea this afternoon after the King's speech and have resignation watch for Wes Streeting? You reckon yes, right?
I do. I absolutely do. He knows how this game works, and if he waits, then people are going to say that he really isn't brave enough. He hasn't got the courage. He hasn't got the leadership to be Prime Minister of this country.
Listen, we've got a voice note which I want you to listen and respond to. Nick, good morning.
Morning, Jez. It's Nick from Horsham here, new caller. Jez, I'm going to put a bit of a different spin on this one, mate. I've thought this for a long time, and I know the thoughts are out there from others, but I want Starmer to stay. And I want him to stay until the end of the term as well, because that means it's a much greater chance of a reform getting a majority. Starmer is throwing this country down the toilet, granted, but it's only going to get worse if somebody else comes in, and there's less chance of a reform majority. So Starmer, sit in number 10, stay where you are, son, and in 3 years we'll all have what we want. Cheers, mate. Take care.
I mean, listen, you're a Tory supporter. I mean, I will point out the latest YouGov poll this morning had the Reform Party back at 28%, the biggest lead they've ever had, 11%. The Greens are floundering because Zach hasn't paid his council tax and has hypnotised everybody into believing he's got one brain cell, which I think is an exaggeration. But the serious point there is Starmer, however narcissistic and incompetent, is he the greatest asset to the opposition parties? And what would the future look like under a Burnham or a Rayner? Even worse than it is now?
Yeah, I spoke with Lord Brady, Graham Brady, from the 1922 committee last night, and I said to him...
Did you? I bet he misses it. It's all over, Keir. Oh, no,
I said,
Job.
Graham, the Labour Party need you. We are professionals at getting rid of prime ministers and leaders. We know how to do it. And he joked with me. He said, Nigel, I want him to stay. And, of course, we both laugh because Nick is absolutely right. The longer that Keir Starmer digs himself deep into his number 10 bunker, the better it is for opposition parties, all opposition parties. I mean, you've seen you talk about those opinion polls, right? So there's no two ways. Reform have gone up a bit. And that's simply, I would call, the local government election bounce. It's because people have seen how well they've done. They've gained 1,500 council seats. That's a remarkable victory for Nigel Farage and Reform. And so they've taken a bounce. The Labour Party have gone down. Why? Because they took an absolute battering. They lost 1,500 seats. And the shenanigans in number 10 since then. The remarkable thing yesterday, and you've mentioned this, is that Keir Starmer said to his cabinet, and he knew that there are people there who want him to go because they've already sort of said it to him. He said, if you want to chat to me about things, talk to me after the cabinet meeting. And as soon as the cabinet meeting was off, he scarpered so nobody could talk to him. So now we've got the farce that before the King's speech, Wes Streeting apparently is now going to have a chat to the Prime Minister.
God, it's great. It's like honestly, it's pennies from heaven for me. I'm going to set up a new TV show, a reality TV show, The Madness of Labour. Nige, we love you, man. Really good to have you on. We'll get you back on as soon as possible. We thank you very much indeed. Former Deputy Speaker of the House of Commons at 10 to 8. Let's go to the Labour MP for Blackley and Middleton South. Graham Stringer, good morning, my friend.
Morning.
Oh, I can't hear you. You all right?
Yes, I am.
You were one of the first to say you need to go. Again, somebody like Carl Turner with what I would describe as just character and belief and trying to do the right thing. What do you make of what you saw yesterday, Gray?
Well, it's chaos. The argument the Prime Minister is putting forward is he needs to stay in Downing Street to avoid chaos. Actually, he is the author of the chaos that there is in government and the Labour Party now. The foundations of that chaos are in two foundation stones, really. One, he has failed to convince the public that what the government is doing is in their interests, and told him that in no uncertain terms last Thursday. And the other foundation stone is the mistakes that the government has made. You don't know where to stop counting, but at least 18 mistakes that have required U-turns that the public don't like. They got surprises after we got in. I think everybody was looking forward to a period of stability after the shenanigans of the previous Conservative government. And what happened? We got announcements of things that had not been debated in the general election and a failure to implement the manifesto that was put before the people. So that's where things come from. The Labour Party, as Nigel said, has been hopeless at changing leaders, which is one of the reasons we've only had 4 leaders who've won majority positions in the House of Commons. We have gone into elections in the past with leaders we know were not supported by the electorate, and we've lost those elections.
Graham, lots of quick questions for you, and I appreciate your honesty. You said early on that this wasn't good enough. Let's talk about this morning. Starmer and Streeting set for a number 10 showdown. I'm not in any position to judge, but it's now or never. Nigel Evans says Streeting will stick his head above the parapet and resign after the King's speech. What's your thoughts?
I have no idea what Wes is going to do, but I think if you want to be a leader, then you have to be brave. You have to show you're a leader. And I think the Prime Minister is saying that to Wes Streeting. Tony Blair, after John Smith died, said, I'm not waiting for you, Gordon. I want to be leader. I am a leader. And he did it. And there's a similar point waiting for Wes.
Would you support Wes Streeting?
It depends who was up against him.
Angela Rayner, let's say.
I'd support Wes over Angela.
Andy Burnham.
Well, Andy's not an MP, and I don't want him to become an MP.
Why?
Because, not because I've got anything against Andy. He's done a very good job as the mayor of Greater Manchester, but he gave a commitment to do that job for the full term. He would be walking away from what he described as the best job in the world, and he would be leaving the back door open as the morality of Greater Manchester to reform or another party.
Isn't the reality, though, even if he has to stand in a by-election in Manchester, if you look at those local election results, that reform would whoop his backside in a by-election right now as well?
By-elections are notoriously risky and difficult, and he certainly is not guaranteed to win a by-election, because I suspect the public would not want to be manipulated by somebody who's got an elected position.
You're such a wise man. The final question, and it sticks in the throat a bit. You'd support Wes over Angela. No comment on Burnham because he's not in Parliament. Oh, God. Wes or Ed Miliband?
That's the easiest. Wes.
That's the easiest. But you see, most people on our side of the fence think that human being is going to sidle up the centre and get the job, Ed Miliband.
Well, he's failed once. He lost the 2015 election, which is a winnable election. I know most people in the country, both business and individuals, are hurting because of the cost of energy. Ed has been responsible for that energy policy. I think that's a mistake, but he was also a loser as leader of the Labour Party, 11 years ago.
You said at the beginning, 22 months the Labour Party has been in power. You talked quite rightly about the shenanigans of the Tory party. I can't believe myself that in a little under 2 years, your party with this massive majority has managed to almost surpass that. You know, I read a great piece from Dan Hodges this morning that said that they were dysfunctional to the point of dysfunctionality, the Tories, but at least in the end, all of those leaders realised, or were forced to realise, that the time was up. This man, by the hour, I mean, his opinion ratings are the lowest of any Prime Minister. He can only be accused of doing what he's doing because he's addicted to the power. If it was for the good of the working man that your party's and woman has always talked about, he'd have fallen on his sword yesterday, wouldn't he?
Well, or before. I do think we're in danger of destroying the Labour Party for a long time as an electoral force. And I think that the Prime Minister not only has to think about the Labour Party, which has supported him, he has to think about the country, because as the author of this chaos, I don't think it can go on.
I couldn't agree more. Just final question, sorry, Bud. Feeling in the Parliamentary Labour Party, 100 say he should go, and 100 have signed this letter, and yet we've had sources telling us this morning that, you know, for the 100 that signed, 200 said no because there was pressure from the whips. Is that right?
Well, that's the job of the whips, isn't it? I mean, I know. I looked very quickly through the names and some of the ministers who are still in office, and I know from private conversation with them that their view is similar to mine, rather than being completely loyal to Keir. There's undoubtedly been pressure put on by the whips and Downing Street.
All right, final question. It's a one-word answer. How long has he got? When does he go?
Oh, that's the most difficult question you've asked. I don't know. It depends on if there's a challenge and everything else, which I have no insight into.
Graham, I love your honesty. It's that Carl Turner, mate, proper constituency MP, and we very much appreciate you being on Talk this morning. Graham Stringer, Labour for Backley and Middleton South, who has been very vocal in his criticism of Keir Starmer, one of the few that's brave enough to stand up. Nigel Evans says Wes Streeting will today, after the showdown, leave it for the King's speech and resign. It's now or never. We'll get back on Resignation Watch. Got the news at 8. Next on Talk Breakfast.
The world is on fire. Russia, Iran, China, conflicts brewing in all of their different regions. They're not waiting. But here in Britain, our armed forces are underfunded, they're undermanned, and they're underprepared. And nobody in government wants to talk about it. Well, we do. I'm Philip Ingram, and I spent my career in the world of intelligence, military planning, strategic planning, and unfortunately, conflict. This is Talk War, and this is where we analyse the conflicts shaping our world.
across the UK. On DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
There you are. Welcome back or welcome along. Just gone 8 o'clock. We're live across the United Kingdom. This is Jeremy Carl on Talk Breakfast. Talk, of course, the home of common sense and where your views on the day's news are most welcome. If you want to be on 0344 499 1000, your text messages in their thousands, 87222. What do I tell you? Today, the soap opera that is Keir Starmer's premiership continues. He and Wes Streeting to have a number 10 showdown this morning. Right. Just ahead of the King's speech, our King, who's been ill and has done a fantastic job in America, has to go and sit in incredibly heavy and hot gowns and tights in Parliament, introducing the new legislative programme for a government that is in turmoil and chaos and doesn't want the man in charge to be in charge. Overnight, 100 MPs now want him gone. Another 100 have signed a letter saying they don't, although we've heard from several sources that they were forced into doing that by the whips. 4 ministers resigned yesterday, including Safeguarding Minister Jess Phillips. She said, "I haven't seen the changes I expected from Keir Starmer." I would respectfully suggest that when he brought in Harriet Harman at the weekend, that was probably the death knell for her. Wes Streeting, is he going to go over the top or not? It's now or never, son, because Burnham's on a train, she's up to no good, Miliband's coming up the middle. It's now or never. So we will return to Resignation Watch this afternoon when I'm not on air. Morning, Dave.
Morning, Jeremy. Dave from Hertfordshire here. I had to put my mixtape back in the box, so I guess I'll be using that another day. But I've actually come to a very, very sincere conclusion that realistically we have Starmer, who hears no evil, David Lammy, who can't see a copper, so he doesn't see no evil, and Wes Streeting, who can't speak no evil. At the end of the day, these are the people we got running our country, and I'm not going to let Rachel get away. I know what the little dash means when I take one number away from another. Seriously, you really can't make this up anymore. They're absolutely terrible, and there's a reason why Labour only gets in once every 20 years, and hopefully next time it will be 40 years. Have a good day.
8:05. It's quite interesting. There's a YouGov poll out. Well, it was out overnight. YouGov, probably one of the most substantive and organised pollsters. There's a new poll out saying that Reform has gone back up to 28% and leads by 11% from a diminishing Green Party, Labour and the Tories, which is a bit of a change, probably from the bounce of those local elections. I just want to take you to this sort of parallel universe, whether you're watching on telly or listening on the radio. With everything that's going on about Starmer being called a narcissist and a liar, and he's a lame duck and he's a dead man walking. 4 years ago, ladies and gentlemen, Keir Starmer gave a speech. He was actually talking about Boris Johnson, but I would respectfully suggest he could have indeed turned himself into something of a clairvoyant, because I think he was talking about himself. Have a watch.
None of this nonsense about clinging on for a few months. He's inflicted lies, fraud and chaos in the country. And, we're stuck with a government which isn't functioning in the middle of a cost of living crisis. And the change we need is not a change at the top of the Tory party. It's much more fundamental than that. We need a change of government and a fresh start for Britain. His own party have finally concluded that he's unfit to be Prime Minister. They can't now inflict him on the country for the next few months. It's obvious he's unfit to be Prime Minister. That's been blindingly obvious for a very, very long time.
I mean, call me, mad, right? But I would have thought that described himself. Hilsey sums it up. Morning, Jez. We've had new gear, Keir. No idea, Keir. Never here, Keir. And now it's still bloody here, Keir. When is this nightmare going to end? I tell you, somebody who has written brilliantly. I was reading at 2 o'clock this morning. I thought one of the best paragraphs ever. We say a very, very, very good morning to Dan Hodges, Mail. How are you, my friend?
Very good. Good to be here.
I read this before you even thought of getting up this morning, and the reason I keep going back to it is I think it's really, really interesting. You point out that the situation isn't sustainable. You said that the previous Tory administrations pushed the boundaries of dysfunctional national governance to the limits, but then you make the point that they did all at a moment realise that country trumped loyalty to party. You say, Keir Starmer and his party currently have neither the humility nor the dignity to place the national interest ahead of their own. The reality is that the Prime Minister does not give a damn about fighting for the working people of Britain. If he did, he would recognise that his own weakness is now leaving them defenceless at a time of unique international and economic peril. Spot on, Dan, spot on. Where do we go from here, Kidder? What's happening?
Well, as I say, literally yesterday, the Labour Party just went mad. I mean, it just literally, I've been covering a lot of these. And as I said, this has now exceeded anything that I saw, or I think anyone has seen, even during the madness of the Tories. Because as I said, the one thing you can say for the Tories is when it became clear the position of their Prime Minister was untenable, and when it became clear they were leading their party to destruction, and when it became clear as a result of what the Prime Ministers were doing, the governance of the nation was being affected, then they did the right thing. When they moved against Boris, when they moved against Liz Truss, they knew how it looked for them and their party, but they also recognised that the national interest demanded that the sort of logjam and the dysfunctionality end. And also, in fairness, although they dug in, Theresa May, Boris, Liz Truss, eventually they all agreed as well that they recognised they had reached a point where, the critical mass of their party had publicly said, you've got to go now. They recognised there was no point continuing the pain for the country and, dragging this sorry saga out indefinitely. That is not where we are this morning currently with the Labour Party. As I say, we've got a situation now. This is the key thing as well. Forget the whole Westminster inside Westminster thing for a second. We've got a situation now where last Thursday, which seems a lifetime ago, and I think part of the problem is some Labour MPs are kind of trying to move on from last Thursday. Last Thursday, millions of people across this country, they had their dinner, picked up the kids, went off to the polling stations, in the middle of the evening, skipped their favourite TV programmes or whatever, went out, and across the country, north, south, east, west, England, Scotland, Wales, they delivered one message to the Labour Party. And it was a very clear and simple one, and it's one that every Labour MP heard, whatever they say on the broadcast. That message was, we've had enough of Starmer, you lot need to get rid of him now. And what we're currently seeing is the Labour Party, not just Keir Starmer, what the British public are currently seeing is Labour MPs, Labour ministers, obviously Keir Starmer himself, collectively saying to them, yeah, we know what you said to us. Tough. Yeah. Tough. You don't understand. Keir Starmer's a great man. We're going to show you he's a great man. In the meantime, you ungrateful lot, shut up. Get down there, enjoy those breakfast clubs, and leave the business of governing the country to us.
Here, Dan.
That's where we are this morning.
And the
Labour Party collectively, not just Keir Starmer, the Labour Party collectively is going to pay a historic political price if it doesn't wake up.
Interestingly, I couldn't agree with you anymore. And I keep saying, I won't get this out as quickly as you do as well. I do believe that we've changed in many instances in this country. One of the things that I think has changed is the silent majority, and I keep saying this because I believe it, have woken up to the fact that their voice can make a difference. And you're absolutely right. Whatever the political party, when it gets to a point where personal ambition or addiction to power supersedes, as your article says, economic survival. I've had people on today out early, working, paying tax, jams, who are livid that patently this man is not up to it and everybody wants him gone. and is clinging on at all costs, especially, I mean, you saw the clip, the hypocrisy of him in terms of what he said to Johnson. I want to talk to you, though, my friend, about this morning. You just had Nigel Evans on today, of course. Wes Streeting, it says in all the newspapers, Wes Streeting, a showdown at 10 a.m. Now, Wes Streeting's been planning to be Prime Minister since he was about 3. We know all the ramifications of Burnham coming back in and the left gearing up and people saying it needs to be a flat contest and they want Keir to stay. Am I right or wrong in saying that if Wes Streeting ever wanted the chance, right, whether he wins or loses, he's got to show a pair and do it today, and if he and resign after the King's speech, presumably, because otherwise it's another pointless waste of time, isn't it?
Well, there's a couple of things there. Again, I think like last time you're on, you are half right. Right. He does indeed need to show a pair, and this is his last chance. The only thing, and this is that you and everybody watching this programme needs to understand, we are not going to see anything today, right? Today, because it's the King's speech, and not just because, but because the King is in Parliament, and there are a number of stories around today which I understand are accurate, in which the palace have specifically communicated under no circumstances drag His Majesty into a Labour Party civil war today.
Right.
All of the camps agreed there will be nothing today. Right. So everybody can, this is like the Christmas truce in the First World War. Right. That's what we got today. So everybody waking up hoping, Wes Streeting.
Right, cut that. Dan knows the business. No, so he wouldn't wait until the King's back in Buckingham Palace and do it. You're saying out of respect for what the King's speech is about.
We are not going to see anything today.
So tomorrow he'll do it. Do you reckon he'll resign tomorrow?
Tomorrow is the absolute key day in this whole saga.
Right.
At that moment, if we don't see any movement from Wes Streeting tomorrow, and indeed, if we don't see any movement from Andy Burnham in terms of saying, I have got a specific seat and I want to come back, then, and you know what a critic I am of Keir Starmer? Keir Starmer has seen them off.
Mm-hmm.
Now, only for now, because obviously, as I say, and everybody can see, we've now got a situation not just where the British people are saying, Keir Starmer, you've got to go, you're useless. We've got a situation where the Home Secretary, Shabana Mahmood, the current Home Secretary, currently sitting in the Home Office, herself on Monday night went to see Keir Starmer and said, you've got to go, you're useless. Got a situation where the Health Secretary wanted to speak to Keir Starmer after Cabinet yesterday. It's not yet clear what Wes wanted to say or will say today, but I think we can all probably guess it wasn't just wanted to tell you, Keir, your fight back speech was an absolute masterpiece of oratory. I'm right behind you. My understanding is 2 other cabinet ministers tried to speak to Keir Starmer yesterday. This, by the way, is the level of dysfunctionality we've reached, which I've never seen before. 3 cabinet ministers tried to speak to the Prime Minister yesterday about the fact that 100 of his MPs were at that point.
Who were the other 2 apart from Streeting?
We haven't got the names yet.
Okay.
That's what I'm going to try and spend the day doing.
That's true.
Trying to find out who they are. But I'm told 3 tried to speak to the Prime Minister of the country about the fact that 100 of his MPs were at that moment either resigned, were resigning from his government, or publicly calling him to go. And Keir Starmer completely refused to even see them. He point blank refused to sit down with them. That's the level of dysfunctionality we're at. Now, that is just not sustainable. It's quite clearly not sustainable. Now, as I report this morning, my understanding is on, sorry, I'm completely losing track of time. It was Monday evening.
Yeah.
On Monday evening, that day when obviously the number of MPs calling was just going through the roof, PPSs were going, ministers were starting to go. My understanding at that point, Keir Starmer recognised just literally what I've just said to you, that the position was unsustainable. And at that point had decided and recognised that some way, I haven't been given the specifics, but that in some way he recognised he needed to bring this crisis to an end in a way that united his party and presented him with a degree of dignity. That's how it's been represented to me. But then what happened is, And as a result of that, in fairness to him, he did the right thing. He reached out to members of his cabinet to ask them a consultation about how to proceed. Unfortunately, I think for all of us, Shabana Mahmood came out of either had whatever conversation she had. It's unclear whether she went into Downing Street or had a conversation on the phone. She did explicitly say to Keir Starmer, "You've got to set out a timeline." And Keir Starmer, and then left, and then we don't know who briefed it, but it then emerged in the media.
Yeah.
The way it was framed in the media was, she told him to go. She was the person who had.
So presumably briefed by her team to make her look like she'd made the decision.
I can't say that because I don't know. I didn't receive the briefing myself, and if I had done, I obviously wouldn't say. But certainly the perception within Westminster is that the briefing came from her. Whoever it came from, the practical result was, as soon as Keir Starmer saw those briefings about Shabana Mahmood trying to force him out, he just basically went nuclear. And his attitude was, look, I'm trying to do the decent, and again, as you know, I'm not his biggest fan, but fair play to him.
Yep.
I'm trying to do the decent thing. I'm trying to end this in a way that isn't a mess. You're running around basically briefing you, forcing me out. Screw the lot of you. You want me, you're going to have to drag me out here, which is why we saw what we saw.
Why doesn't he sack Shabana Mahmood then? Why doesn't he sack her?
That is a very good question.
And show a bit of strength, show a pair of cojones, for goodness sake.
I think, in fairness, I would say this. I think that's absolutely right. I equally would say, if Shabana Mahmood believes, and none of this has been disputed, as she said, if she believes Keir Starmer needs to resign, or at least set out a timetable, presumably she's doing that because she believes it's not in the national interest for him to continue.
Absolutely.
Shabana Mahmood also, in my view, has an obligation to resign from the government.
How can you work for a man that you have no respect for completely? And this is where we get into the whole debate. I'm completely with you that people have to show, not just him, other people have to show courage. Wes Streeting, it's now or never, has to show courage. Will Burnham get back? I'm not into the whole Massara Manchester thing, sorry. Mahmood, you might be right. I don't think... if I was in Keir Starmer's camp, which I'll never be, I'd be saying I'm going to sack her. I don't like a lot what she's been doing, and I'm going to impose my authority. I'd let Burnham stand in Manchester. You might laugh at me, Dan, because I don't think right now, with the reform surge in that area, they'd stand a chance, because they'll tell you to a man, if he gives up the mayoralty, that they'll lose that to reform. So the same could apply, despite his apparent golden sort of halo that hangs over his head, the same could apply to them. The cabinet... The cabinet is usually, as you quite rightly said at the beginning of this conversation, somebody would go, 3 or 4 cabinet ministers would go and say, look, Prime Minister, we've all talked amongst ourselves, you're a dead man walking. They're fractured as well, which does no favours to the country, does it?
No, absolutely. I mean, like I said, I think, because there's been so much going on, and, because it is definitely difficult for us all, I think, to process at the moment, we do have to understand what the situation is this morning. So we've got a situation this morning, as I said, where the Home Secretary of the United Kingdom, one of the most important briefs in relation to the national security of the nation, is sitting in Downing Street, sitting in the Home Office, according to her aides just getting on with the job, having told the Prime Minister of the country, her boss, I don't have confidence in you now. You have to set out a timetable. Now, this is the equivalent of... remember when Suella Braverman wrote that absolutely excoriating letter against Rishi Sunak about how she felt about him and then resigned? It's the equivalent of Shabana Mahmood doing that. It's the equivalent of Suella Braverman doing that and then just carrying on in the Home Office as if nothing has happened. And this is the other thing that I do think, and I've been there, I've been part of these whole psychodramas. I've reported on them and actually participated in them. When this happens, you get a bit sucked up into it, right? There is whatever they say, there is an excitement that goes along with this. I think what we're seeing at the moment is Labour MPs generally seem to think this is all playing out behind closed doors. Right, they're doing their clever briefings, they're using some coded language. Shabana Mahmood tells the Prime Minister to go, briefs it, but then thinks, well, I haven't publicly done it, so I can deny it, so it doesn't really count. The key thing is, 40, 50 years ago, all this stuff was done by men in dark suits behind closed doors. That's not the country we live in anymore. We have a 24-hour news cycle. We have programs like this. We have people like me who don't observe the old sort of rules and do actually report what is going on. And the public see this. This is the key thing that Keir Starmer, his ministers and his MPs do not understand at the moment. I understand why, but they genuinely don't understand it. The country are looking at this.
Yeah.
The country sees 100 of Keir Starmer's own MPs saying this man has got to go. And yet somehow we've also got MPs wandering around saying, oh, we need to listen more. You know, we need to listen. We need to learn lessons. It's right, fine. If you want to listen, listen. The country wants Keir Starmer gone. I gotta say, everybody from the left of politics to the centre of politics to the right. Scotland, Wales, England, the southwest, the southeast, London. It doesn't matter where you sit on the political spectrum. Everyone has clearly said, please, enough, get rid of him. And Labour MPs are going,
I could, do you know, and if you're listening on the radio, you got two figures. Dan, I have to admit, mate, there is no way I can describe how brilliant I think you've been on this. And I'm just going to bring up for people who haven't, go and get the Mail and read it. The final two lines in this article that I read online this morning was, and he said, Dan, I want to see his face, Dan Hodges' face, because he said, and I quote, at the end of this mad day where there is chaos everywhere, thank you very much, Steve, he put, I got a text from a minister, a Labour, maybe MP or minister going, actually, it wasn't a bad day for us. And you think, well, what the hell's a bad day? Listen, thank you, my friend. Always great to have you on. Dan Hodges from the Mail. Buy that paper and read it. Fantastic bit about what's going on. Total shenanigans at the heart of the government. What we learned from Dan just then is no resignation watch for Wes Streeting today. It's been agreed, it's been told from the Palace of Westminster, do not get involved in the ceremonial pomp and ceremony of what the King is doing. He says get on resignation watch. It is now or never tomorrow morning for Wes Streeting. Either go and stick your head above the parapet or we're stuck with the nasal night for another few days. 8:25, Oliver's been sitting in the car when all that's going on. Oliver, William, Robin, have a great day at school. Risty, I love you. I'll see you later. Next, Isabel Oakeshott and Talk Breakfast.
Welcome to Down the Local, the show that goes from pub to pub across the country, speaking to the punters about the subjects driving us all nuts at the moment.
That's Rachel Reeves, Rachel Thieves, Rachel McCounts.
I don't really know Meghan Markle. I know Meghan Markle's from Suits, that's about it.
I don't know about anyone else, and I don't know where this is going. I have 0% beard, and I feel
raising the flag, I think, is symptomatic of its desperation.
Is public transport good value for money?
No, it isn't.
You really don't like speaking to people.
across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back, 8:28. It's all going on. We've got breaking news on Talk. Breaking news, Wes Streeting has arrived in 10 Downing Street. You won't see him walk in. He's gone and arrived in a side entrance. He is having that showdown with Starmer. Many people are saying, will he finally grow a pair and stay there and go, I cannot do this, I resign. But you heard from Dan Hodges from the Mail. The Palace were at pains yesterday to say, if we are doing the state opening of Parliament to the Labour government, this is what they said allegedly, you heard it from Dan Hodges, we are not having any of these bloody shenanigans tomorrow. So Dan says nothing will happen today. Streeting will say his piece, he'll think about it overnight. He says we should be on resignation watch from tomorrow morning here. Wow. This is from Rob. He, like me, is a little bit cynical about the self-styled King of the North, Andy Burnham. King of the North, looking for a safe seat, but it can't be in the bloody North where I live because nobody wants him. It's not Game of Thrones, man. Why doesn't he get on his mythical dragon and fly to a mythical land and sit on his mythical throne? It's bloody ludicrous, this. Keir Starmer and Wes Streeting meeting as we speak. Daggers, good morning.
All this Andy Burnham thing about being the Messiah of Manchester, I just don't get it. I mean, I'm from Manchester and the guy has not done a single thing for the working man over there. In my opinion, he's not the Messiah of Manchester, he's the Antichrist of Manchester. And Angela Rayner is one of his demons. Unbelievable, mate. Right, great show. See you later. Bye.
Excellent. Robert in Chiswick, good morning. If Wes doesn't make a challenge, how the hell is he ever going to do another on-camera interview when the first question from any journalist always be, why did you bottle it? And that will hang around his neck forever. It is now or never. Merv, I love you, Merv, but we've got to get this straight, pal. Morning, Jez. Although I do think the King did very well with Trump, I'm not a massive fan. If he delivers the King's speech today, it will appear he supports this government and specifically Starmer. I think he should postpone it to do the honourable stay out of politics if really wants to. He is not able to constitutionally. It is a constitutional monarchy's job. Let me tell you, the Queen probably read out Queen's speeches that she fundamentally disagreed with, and they have to do it with a straight face. That's the way we work. Let's go live to Talk's international editor. I love getting this lady's take. Isabel Oakeshott, good morning.
Good morning. Well, it's quite hard to compete with Dan Hodges' level of inside information.
Brilliant.
I'm not going to try and do that. I think we should perhaps unpick some of what he said. And I mean, the main takeaway from that was that there's not going to be, at least there's not supposed to be, any great drama today. Even the Labour Party don't want to make life really difficult and embarrassing for the monarch. So it looks like they're going to control themselves, at least till tonight, maybe. I don't know.
It's interesting because there's currently no cabinet collective responsibility about the PM's position and thus overall the situation. I'm totally with Dan on the Shabana Mahmood thing. I'm surprised. I don't know if that was an underling, but if that did happen and that's the reason he's gone nuclear. I'm very strong on what I think about Wes. I'd love your take on this. It really is now or never. I mean, he is undoubtedly been on manoeuvres for as long as we can all imagine, as we jokingly say, since he was 3. If he doesn't resign tomorrow, he will forever be standing accused of you wanted the trappings of the job and you didn't have the belief. Even if he doesn't win it, it's then or never, isn't it, for him?
Yeah, I mean, I obviously haven't spoken to Wes Streeting or even any of his allies in the last 24 hours, but I would be amazed if he doesn't resign tomorrow or as soon as it's deemed to be polite after the King's delivers his thing. And, you know, modern political history is actually littered with people who left it too late. You know, they were so busy optimising.
Michael Portillo. Michael Heseltine.
Trying to choose the perfect optimal moment, and then they missed their chance. Yeah. There were a lot. I mean, this happened a lot during the Brown years. After Brown took over from Tony Blair, an awful lot of people on the right of the party were not happy with that sort of coronation. There was never a leadership contest, and they knew that Brown was going to lead Labour into an election defeat in 2010. And they continually agonised over when to resign. And one or two of them resigned from the cabinet amid great drama, but it was too little, too late.
Interestingly as well, if it is tomorrow for Wes Streeting, and that's what Dan Hodges has just intimated, and you and I have heard that for the first time, then we wonder whether there will be others who perhaps are sympathetic to Streeting. There's been talk of... It's quite interesting because his number one ally in cabinet is Peter Kyle, no relation, thank God. But he came out and supported the Prime Minister. But the thing about it is, Isabel, and I've had this from 6 a.m. this morning, the hard-working alarm clock Brits, the jams, are all going, so what, you lot are just carrying out this chaotic, you know, who can get the job and who can protect their own backsides, and we're out there struggling. There's crime on the streets, tax has gone through the roof, and we can't see a doctor. That's the reality, is that them playing the games that they forever, ever took the Tories to task about is doing nothing for the good people of this country, is it?
Well, just to be a devil's advocate here, in a sense, these are not games. These are the attempts of a number of people from different political perspectives in the Labour Party to try to bring a better form of government and leadership to our country. So they definitely wouldn't see this as games. They're desperately trying to replace the Prime Minister with someone that they think, almost certainly mistakenly, can do the job better. So, you know, I know it looks like games, but in a sense, we'd be furious with them if they weren't trying to get rid of him. And it's him that's turning this into a ridiculous circus because he's refusing to accept that his time is up. He's the one that is creating this farce, this theatre, and it's going to go on, it seemed, for at least another 24, 48 hours. I imagine that what Wes Streeting is saying to Keir Starmer today, behind closed doors, is, look, I can't do this today because clearly we don't want to embarrass the king, draw him into a whole political nightmare, but tomorrow I'm going to resign. And I must admit, I took a lot from Ed Miliband's body language as he came out of Downing Street yesterday. Following that cabinet meeting, I wonder very much if he was one of the cabinet ministers that Dan referenced who wanted to talk to Keir Starmer, wanted a bit of one-on-one, and was just rebuffed. The PM was apparently too busy. And I've observed Ed Miliband over 15 years now, and his face looked like thunder yesterday. Didn't say anything as he came out of that cabinet meeting. Reporters were shouting, do you support Keir Starmer? He didn't say anything. So I imagine tomorrow he may well be one of the other ones that declares his hand.
And interestingly, as Dan said, Isabel, and you know far more than me, you know, if Shabana Mahmood did have that conversation, how the hell can she continue as Home Secretary working for a man that she doesn't have any belief is the right person? A lot of people criticise when Robert Jenrick, right, for example, and Suella Braverman went from the Tories to Reform. But you could point out absolutely and justifiably that both of those resigned from the Tory government because they weren't happy with how it was going. You have no leg to stand on. This is interesting. Dave in Cardiff. With Wes steering everyone, everybody seems to have forgotten about his poor judgment in his texts and messaging and relationships with Peter Mandelson. He lost any credibility with me at that point. It's an interesting one, isn't it?
Well, the messages that he released were pretty minimal, actually. I mean, I do slightly wonder if that was the whole story. I don't think that doesn't stack up to me. It may well have been other correspondence on a different phone or maybe on his Telegram app and not on his WhatsApp. But I'm not that I'm not that bothered about it. But I'm sure over the years we've all had made some questionable.
I know, but the Mandelson thing is one of the first reasons that the light has been shone absolutely on Keir Starmer. And if Wes Streeting is going to go for the top job, and I hope he stands by his principles, I don't have anything against the man, the light is going to shine on him in that way again, and he is said to have been a 20-year friend and a protege of Mandelson. I'm just suggesting, as that text is, that might come back and bite him as well as it has done for Starmer, you know?
Well, he's a smart guy, and you'd like to think that if he knew that he's got those skeletons, if he knew that there are compromising pictures of him hanging out with Mandelson at parties after it emerged that Mandelson was not the character that perhaps many of his friends hoped he was, then that would be devastating. I would like to imagine that he is smart enough to know that he could not run for the leadership if there was any prospect of, if such material exists and there's any prospect of it coming out. And if it does exist, he's got to calculate that in this modern age, with people's ability, hostile states or hostile actors' ability to hack communications and files, it probably would come out. So the fact that he appears to be on the brink of standing suggests that material doesn't exist. Either that, or he's a massive risk taker. And frankly, most politicians that want to get to the top are massive risk takers, and they do gamble on their skeletons remaining firmly behind closed doors.
Sorry, darling, we're getting alerts the whole time. Something from the Mail about the state opening of Parliament, and I'll get to that. It's just the whole thing. The whole thing is it just feels a bit like a soap opera. You know, will they, won't they? How long is he going to cling on for? Of course, they don't want the king involved at all. I get that. The other thing I like was 100 have said he should go and 100 said he shouldn't, and yet they freely admit they were pressurised by whips to do that. But perhaps my favourite... Have you seen the best clip of the day of him 4 years ago? Have you seen it?
I've heard it on talk.
It's just unbelievable. What he said to Boris is for him. Trump, though, said to him overnight, which I think is genius, I've told you for ages you got it the wrong way around. You've got open borders and closed oil fields. You need to open your oil fields and close your borders. Spot on, right?
Absolutely love that. Love that. But he's never going to... He doesn't get any of that.
No.
Doesn't get any of that. It didn't make any acknowledgement in that Save Me speech of his.
Save Me speech. God.
That it is uncontrolled immigration and the continuing small boats, which is causing so much division in our country. He didn't reference any of that. He just told us that immigration is falling, which
is a lie.
There's still a load more.
And I'm going to nationalise British Steel and get closer to Europe. Everything that nobody wants. Final question, couple of quick ones. Thank you so much indeed, as ever. We so appreciate it. Does he go, yes or no?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Does Streeting resign tomorrow and stick his head above the parapet?
Yeah, got to go for it.
Who's the next Prime Minister of the United Kingdom?
Oh, gosh. I don't know. Ed Miliband.
Oh, Isabel, you made me feel physically sick. That Miliband, my God. Oh.
I know, we've been there and done that. I've reported under an Ed Miliband Labour Party leadership. It wasn't exciting. Does anyone remember the Ed Stone? Do you remember the
Yes, I remember I know the bloke that helped him write it. It was a spad of his, 15 points on a stone. I mean, hopeless.
A massive tombstone. And I can't remember what happened to it. There is a funny story about what happened to the Ed Stone.
It was a phallic-looking stone as well. I don't want to be rude.
No, it wasn't, Jezza. It was not a phallic-looking stone. There was nothing phallic about it. That's just you. That's just your imagination. It was kind of just like a normal...
I dream. Keir Starmer doesn't. It's the way I am. I love it when you... Can I just say I like it when you tell me off? Does that sound wrong? But I mean it. It's good. I like being put in my place.
We should spend more time together, Jeremy. I'm sure I'd find more to tell you off about.
She's being nice to me. We love you. Thanks for coming on, sweetheart. We'll see you very soon. Thank you as ever. Talks International Editor Isabel Oakeshott. Patrick, good morning.
There's a Starmer waits at number 10. He thinks he's gonna stay there, but he must be round the bend.
across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
We haven't got live pictures, have we? Go to live pictures. Come on, Wes Streeting has just left now. You've got the doormate. He's getting into a car. Never mind. Wes Streeting has just exited number 10 Downing Street after chatting with the Prime Minister. He's come out of the front door without his file. That doesn't mean he's no longer the Health Secretary. They had I would say that was only a 15-minute meeting. Now, here's the thing. He was in there. He wanted to see the Prime Minister yesterday. He's gone in today. We heard from Dan Hodges, an exclusive for Talk, that nothing will happen today, that the Prime Minister and all factions do not want to do anything to disrespect the King. Of course, it's the state opening of Parliament very soon. I bet he wishes he was elsewhere. Anyway, he's got to go and read out a manifesto, in effect, or a legislation sort of schedule for this government written by a man who probably won't be there by the end of the week or the end of the month. Anyway, the big news from Dan Hodges, if you just tuned in, is he thinks nothing will happen today because of respect for the King. He thinks Wes Streeting will resign as Health Secretary tomorrow. Will he be followed by others? For Wes Streeting, let me tell you, there's no other show. We have some breaking news on Talk Breakfast, 8:45. Breaking news, my friends. Now, this is quite important. We've just heard in the last 30 seconds, 11 unions have turned on Starmer and have issued a joint statement saying he has to go at the exact moment that Streeting was in number 10, and that is before those King's Speech actions later. 11 unions have said he should go. Wow. There is outrage as well, apparently, another source telling us, in the Buckingham Palace circles because of the shambles. But that is breaking news. 11. That's extraordinary. 11 unions. The Labour Party financed and almost organised and run by the unions. 11 unions have come out and said, Starmer, you got to go. 100 MPs yesterday, 4 ministers overnight. We have a standoff, though, today because of the King's Speech, where Streeting has just exited 10 Downing Street. I suspect he'll resign first thing tomorrow morning. I also would like to say that if Shabana Mahmood has any morality, because apparently she told the Prime Minister to go, she should also stand up and say, I can't hold one of the highest jobs in the land under your, I nearly said dictatorship there, premiership, because I don't believe that you're the right man for the job. Let's say a very good morning. Let's go to Bolton. Damien, you're on Talk Breakfast. Good morning.
Good morning, Jazza. How are you? I'm
not bad, as mad as ever. What can I do for you, pal?
Andy Burnham, yeah, not a messiah, not the king of the north. All that Andy Burnham does is play sound bites from national policy. His biggest achievement, even though it's controversy, is the buses in Manchester. He was supposed to get them regulated and on time and everything else like that. That doesn't happen. Before Christmas, he gave them a pay rise and then they subsequently went on strike. I fully concur with your view that he wouldn't get elected. In the local council elections in Bolton, where I live, there was only 20 seats of the 60 that were up for election, and 10 of them went to Reform, with 3 or 4 a close second. So whatever area he goes to in Greater Manchester to try and get a seat, I don't think he'll succeed. And he's a Scouser in Manchester.
I couldn't agree more. I don't know this self-star. I'm just seeing pictures of Streeting. He doesn't look very happy. There we go. I just don't get this self-star. He's run for the leadership twice and lost. He's not, in my mind, the genius. I really appreciate your support and your help, Damien. Thank you. Sean in Birmingham, forget about the thumbs up. Starmer's been sticking 2 fingers up to the public since he got elected in 2024. Ross in Yorkshire, I feel sorry for Starmer's family. Not sure how they deal with having the most unpopular, cowardly, narcissistic husband and father. Surely for their sake he should go. Hello to Caroline in Norfolk, all over the UK today. I keep watching this resignation watch with more and more incredulity. That's it. I work in the private sector, and if you can't do the job or no one's got any faith in you, you either leave or you're asked to leave. And as for people putting pressure on other people not to do things, that's surely a dictatorship. Morning to Dan in Epsom. What's the deal with Streeting? He's like a schoolboy. He's a no-mark. Well, maybe he's going to show his teeth. Maybe he will resign. Nigel says there are a maximum 1,000 days remaining until the next UK general election. Anyone who wants a crack at making a worse job of it than Starmer needs to move now, as they're losing the opportunity. Lisa Price, good morning. morning. All these people with champagne on ice awaiting Starmer's departure. They should be buying English sparkling wine. It's just as good. Oh, God, maybe. Phil's in Coventry. Somebody has to be. It's a joke. Alex Burgard is as deluded as Starmer if he thinks the country will vote Tory in a general election reform all the way. Let's say good morning to Jamie. Jamie, good morning.
Jamie from Yorkshire. Why doesn't Kemi propose a table a motion of no confidence against the Prime Minister in the House today after the King's speech? And the Labour MPs can either put up or shut up. They can either get rid of him, and then they've got however long it is to form another government, or go to the King and ask Parliament to be dissolved, or they can vote for him and they can all stop waffling on. And like Nigel Evans has just said, keep Keir in place, because he's the greatest asset to the opposition. Enjoying the show. Have a good day.
That's a really good point. But I guess presumably if, as Dan reported, everything's off the table today in terms of not disrespecting the King, they wouldn't do that. Can I just read this out from Aidan Thompson in Barnard Castle? You remember Cummins and the drive? Aidan here in Barnard Castle. Maybe Starmer needs to follow in Dominic Cummings' shoes and go to Specsavers and get his eyes tested. The country is needing a proper leader, not another clown. Thank you, Aidan. Let's say a very good morning to a lady who knows all about things regal. Conversations with this lady are the highlight of my week. Angela Levin, good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. Nice to see you.
And you, my darling. King's speech today, and sources inside the palace have apparently been at pains to tell the Labour government that they should not in any way drag the King into the shambolic chaos that is carrying on. Have you heard anything on this?
Yeah, well, I just sort of can suggest various things. I mean, the King saved this dreadful Prime Minister's problem when he was in America. He read a brilliant speech. He was absolutely top. And now we have to be careful that he's not used for him again, because it's not right. He's not going to use someone to do all your dirty work, frankly. So I was very pleased when I heard that the King himself said that sent some things back with alterations.
I think that there's a lot of people, right, Angela, in black and white who will say, why doesn't he just come today and say, I dissolve Parliament, I don't agree? And I have to keep explaining that a constitutional monarchy means... Yeah, we've seen the Queen, you and I have seen the Queen over a number of years read out policies for her government that she patently disagrees with. But this is highlighted a lot more because Starmer seems to have, in a short space of 22 months, alienated almost everybody at home and abroad. And people are saying, and this is what I wanted to put to you, takes some doing to sit there and talk about something you fundamentally don't want to be talking about. But more than that, the plans of a man who could be gone by Friday, for Christ's sake. That's the issue, isn't it?
Yeah, that is a very important issue, and I think that the King has been very careful about this. Of course, it is a constitutional monarchy, which means that the monarch has to do what he's told by the government. So people don't realise that, but it is that. But you can still save yourself and not do the dirty work. That's the thing that's very important. And I think that the King is fed up with this man. And he might... Yes, and I think he might even say one or two things that actually slipped in.
Well, I must say one thing about him in America. He managed to have the Democrats and the Republicans eating out of his hands, and he made a couple of barbed comments about Trump, who was either not intelligent enough to know that the King was being subtle or missed the point, because he clapped them as well. I don't know. You're saying the King's fuming then behind the scenes with Starmer, you reckon, right?
No, I'm not saying he's fuming, but I think he's very careful, and he will not be used for Starmer. That's the point. I think that's really very important, because we can see Starmer is not a man which you would trust or believe in or anything. At least I'm not. And so you drop things.
Why don't you trust Keir Starmer? He's going to change the world, isn't he?
Never. I've disliked him from the moment, because you can't trust him. You know, he says he's going to do something and he never does. He sort of is a creep. I really can't stand him. And I think you want the truth, don't you?
Shall I tell you what I think? I think he's an over-promoted, vacuous little accountant/solicitor who's unbelievably got to where he is. I think he was an appalling... Do you know, I remember Boris Johnson in the House of Commons saying, and you missed Jimmy Savile, and there was uproar, and I thought, no, he's absolutely right. Have you seen the clip today about him talking about Johnson? Have you seen this?
No.
I'm going to make your morning. I'm going to make Angela's morning. Play. This is him 4 years ago, Angela. Have a watch. Go on, play this for me.
All this nonsense about clinging on for a few months. He's inflicted lies, fraud and chaos in the country. And, you know, we're stuck with a government which isn't functioning in the middle of a cost of living crisis. And the change we need is not a change at the top of the Tory party. It's much more fundamental than that. We need a change of government and a fresh start for Britain. His own party have finally concluded that he's unfit to be Prime Minister. They can't now inflict him on the country for the next few months. It's obvious he's unfit to be Prime Minister. That's been blindingly obvious for a very, very long time.
Wonder who he's talking about, Ange?
Is anybody pushing it through the door? So they can actually have another read.
It's interesting you said what you did.
It's amazing.
I want to go back to the King. I want to try and think about how difficult it will be for him at the King's speech today. And he's not a well man. Difficult, right? Fuming. Fuming's the wrong word. He's going to be angry, right?
But the thing is that he did so well in America that I feel he feels that he can do it again because he's a brilliant person in that sort of way, and it's very important for him. And I don't think he likes the man because he knows that he would like to get rid of the people who are in the people who are royal. He doesn't want it. So he would like to get rid of it. And the King doesn't want to get rid of it. So he's going to be very dignified. And I think there might be just a couple of things sort of pushed in.
Are you saying that the King doesn't like Starmer?
Well, if somebody was with you and you've been working in an area for many years, 70-something years, and then you know that they don't give a button for what you're doing. They wanted it not to happen. They would like to.
You make a really good point. Starmer has, in the past, I'm pretty sure, has been part of a party that would like to change the monarchy, and that will create things. Interestingly, Charles is probably, Angela, a bit to the left in certain policies, and probably, as much as anything, would be angry that Starmer has imploded as spectacularly as he's done by lying and letting people down.
Yes, I'm sure that's right. He's very honourable, and this man is not. But I do also think that he feels very, very strongly for the monarchy, and that is his life, isn't it?
Yes.
And it's his mother's life. And when somebody wants to get rid of them, or you can tell that they're being phony when they meet you, you can't possibly like them.
Two quick questions. Would you say then that Starmer's using the King to cover or make up for the mistakes he's made?
I'm sorry, who?
Would you say that Starmer's using the King to cover up?
Oh, yes, that's what I mean. He would like it. He saw how well the King has done. He hasn't decided, well, let me go so I don't make the life difficult for the King. He's just hanging on in there. As you say, he's going to stay till tomorrow. But it's ridiculous, really, because you say what's going on, and then in 2 days later, it's not happening.
Final question. It's my favourite one I've ever asked you. You've got to have dinner with one of them. Keir Starmer or Meghan Markle?
I would have both and give them a real write-off.
I love you, Angela Levin. Thank you so much indeed. Talk breakfast.
Welcome to Down the Local, the show that goes from pub to pub across the country, speaking to the punters about the subjects driving us all nuts at the moment.
That's Rachel Reeves, Rachel Thieves, Rachel McCounts.
I don't really know Meghan Markle. I know Meghan Markle's from Sinks, and that's about it.
I don't know about anyone else, and I don't know where this is going. I have 0% beard, and I feel
Raising the flag, I think, is symptomatic of its desperation.
Is public transport good value for money?
No, it isn't.
You really don't like speaking to people.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk. Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Oh, they are. Welcome back. Just got 9 o'clock. We're live across the United Kingdom. Talk is, of course, on the home of common sense and the home of the alarm clock. Brit, we're here Monday to Thursday from 6 until 10. There's only one story in town. Right. The soap opera, the reality TV drama that is Starmer and his Labour government continues. This morning, Wes Streeting was seen striding into 10 Downing Street and then scuttling out. He had an 18-minute conversation with the Prime Minister, we're told. It's breaking news. 18 minutes. Christian said to me, what can you achieve in 18 minutes? I said, from a personal point of view, 6 kids, but there we go. He came out, got straight into a car and went off. Dan Hodges was on earlier, outlining, just by the mail, it's brilliant, outlining how he sees this whole thing playing out and saying that nothing will happen today. Because of the King's speech, because of sources inside the palace have communicated this to the Labour government, that we don't want any of your shenanigans and shambles being associated with the King on a day. But we asked the question that everybody should ask, which is that the pomp and ceremony of the King's speech means that the King, in his robes and tights, which are not comfortable allegedly, has got to sit there and basically lay out a legislative programme for a caretaker Prime Minister, of which most of his party want nothing to do with him. And I don't know if you saw the breaking news, which was about 10 minutes ago. 11 unions have now come out and turned on Starmer and called for him to go. And as Jenny says, so 11 union leaders say he has to go. Labour are funded by the unions. Will they stick with Starmer? How many of the 100 supporters will now turn off their support if the money taps are turned off from them? Phil, good morning.
Good morning, Jez. This is Phil, a member and a proud member of Alarm Clock Britain. Jez, the King is going to go and officially open Parliament and going to give a speech about what his government are going to do. How can he do that when he knows that his government is in absolute chaos? How is that going to reflect on the King and make our King look?
Listen, I don't disagree with you. I don't know the exact rules of a constitutional monarchy. I know that he can't be involved, but of course if he's sitting there laying out stuff that isn't actually, not that you disagree with it, but actually isn't going to come to fruition, that asks a question. Let's call for a voice of magnificent brilliance, favourite part of the week by a mile. Will her cat make an appearance? Author and columnist for the Daily Mail. Still hasn't asked me on a podcast. There's the cat. Sarah Vine, good morning. Is that the wonderful... What's the best named cat you've got? What's it?
She's called Cersei.
I love that.
Named after Cersei Lannister in Game of Thrones.
I love it. Who thought... On what programmes would you get Sarah Vine and her cat called Cersei? To business, lovely lady. Wow.
She's channeling a message from Larry the cat, obviously.
I was going to say Larry was the only one who was prepared to leave Downing Street.
Larry's her secret boyfriend, and... apparently, it's all a bit of a SHITSHOW.
Right, so you've got an official exclusive on Talk Breakfast. Sarah Vine's cat Cersei, who's in basically having an affair with Larry, the cat of number 10. Larry's been on the cat phone this morning, and it's a bit of a what's it show at 10 Downing Street. Mate, honestly, you went through everything that you went through. There's so much to talk about.
Yeah, there is so much to talk about. I mean, the timing of this is particularly bad with the King's speech. I mean, your previous caller has nailed it. I mean, poor Charles. He's not only has he got to deal with sort of going to America and being nice to Donald Trump, he's also now got to deliver this ridiculous speech, which will be completely invalidated within moments.
Completely. Yesterday, I mean, have you seen? Don't mean to keep playing. Have you seen what Starmer said 4 years ago? Have you heard it?
What about Boris?
Yeah, have you seen it?
Yeah. The tweet. There's always a tweet, right?
No. Have you not seen the interview he gave 4 years ago?
No.
I'm going to play this for Sarah Vine and for anybody who's just tuning in. Who the hell is... This is him talking about Boris Johnson. Play this for me, Big M, please.
All this nonsense about clinging on for a few months. He's inflicted lies, fraud and chaos in the country. And, we're stuck with a government which isn't functioning in the middle of a cost of living crisis. And the change we need is not a change at the top of the Tory party. It's much more fundamental than that. We need a change of government and a fresh start for Britain. His own party have finally concluded that he's unfit to be Prime Minister. They can't now inflict him on the country for the next few months. It's obvious he's unfit to be Prime Minister. That's been blindingly obvious for a very, very long time.
Sarah,
that is gold.
It's gold, man, isn't it? I mean, that is gold. That was 4 years ago.
I know. And the thing is, there is an element of Schadenfreude here because, however bad Boris Johnson may have been, however bad Rishi Sunak may have been, none of them were as bad as this lot. No. I mean, they really weren't.
Dan made a really good point in his article this morning, and I had him on the show at 8 o'clock, which was that, they took dysfunctionality at that point to a level we'd never seen before, but at least at some particular moment, the Tory party in its entirety and the Prime Ministers realised that country went before party. This man, after the cabinet meeting yesterday, locked himself in his study and refused to see anybody.
Yeah, well, it just shows the kind of person he is. He is absolutely only interested in his own life and his own career. He doesn't care about anything. I mean, but lots of us have been seeing this for ages. We've been writing this and saying it, but everyone's, oh, no, he's a lovely man. He's a very principled man. Sorry, principled? How is this principled? How is behaving like this principled? principled, you're just hiding from the reality. And even the most sensible people in the Labour Party, we've just seen Wes Streeting go in and get 20 minutes with him, are just not making any headway. He doesn't respect anyone else's opinion. He doesn't listen to anyone else. He's in a total bunker situation. I mean, he really is. He's in a complete bubble. It's sort of deluded. And
it is, but then, of course, to move it away from a man... And I had a couple of messages yesterday, Sarah, saying, he's also a human being. Well, try explaining that to waspy women or farmers, some who committed suicide. Try telling that to the pensioners before you give me that.
Well, that's what my daughter said to me last night. She said, "Oh, Mummy, you should feel sorry for him." I mean, the thing is, he never felt sorry for any other politician in the Tory party or in any other party who was struggling with difficult circumstances. He and his party have always been ruthless in all of that. I mean, particularly Rayner. Let's not forget, she's the most aggressive of them all, really, actually.
Tory scum, didn't she say?
Yeah, Tory scum, all of that kind of stuff. No, and now here he is going, oh, well, we've had some very difficult situations. We've had some foreign crisis. Well, sorry, that's always the case when you're the Prime Minister. But what he's demonstrating is what happens to everyone who gets into power, which is once you have it, it's just so addictive. You cannot conceive of life without it. And he's like an addict. He will do almost anything to accept that he has got a problem and needs to go to rehab, and that's it. He's not going to go. They're going to have to.
That was another life, sending people to rehab. Can I ask about Streeting? Clayton in Dartford made me laugh. So Wes went in, went out. Did he shake it all about? I've no idea. Wes Streeting, who many people say has been on manoeuvre since he was 3, apparently tried to see Starmer yesterday. Yeah. Many in the know will say that it's been quite orchestrated and planned, but he's been at pains to not want to be the person to jump over the parapet first, because the person that cast the first stone rarely ends up wearing the crown. However, we are now in the last chance saloon for Wes Streeting. Dan says nothing will happen today because of the King's speech, but that he fully expects, we should be on resignation watch, he fully expects Wes Streeting to resign out of principle tomorrow morning. Now, if he does and he doesn't win, he'll go up in my estimation. What about Mahmood? Mahmood, who apparently went and told him on the phone or in person, then somebody briefed it and he went nuclear. How can she continue as Home Secretary for a Prime Minister she doesn't think should be Prime Minister? None of them are coming out of this with any glory.
No, they're not. I mean, the thing about Mahmood is that, just going back to last week's local elections, which is what's triggered this entire crisis, there's one thing that's very obvious, which is that the thing that the electorate and the people of this country are most worried about is illegal immigration. Yep. That is going to be the absolute core issue at the next general election. And actually, Mahmood is the only one in that party who has said anything remotely sensible about it. So if they had any sense, they would put her in as leader.
But as well as I do, the left, I mean, we'll get on to the self-styled King of Manchester who does my head right in. The irony of this whole situation, Sarah, is the left, Rayner, Burnham, separately or together, need a delay. They need Starmer to stay there for a few months so that he can get back into Parliament. Wes Streeting or Shabana Mahmood or anybody on the Blairite side of the party have to move right now. But, of course, I'm guessing, from a political point of view, if you play your cards too early or too late, you screwed your careers over.
Yes, but I do think at this point you have to say you have to put principle over sort of politics.
Completely agree. Completely
and they
agree.
just need to. Also, this sort of fantasy about Andy Burnham. I mean, it's like he's Heathcliff or something.
I know.
This is sort of he's not going to come in. He's not going to come in and solve all of their problems. He's not.
Well, listen to this from Vincent. He said, you wanted to hear from people in Manchester. Burnham has done a terrible job in my town. Piccadilly Gardens is now called Crackadilly, and there's no sign of any police anywhere. I don't know where this self-styled King of the North has come from, but I tell you what I do know, and you might disagree with this. They say, and I quote, he shouldn't give up the mayoralty because we'd lose that to reform. If I was Starmer, not that he's got a pair, I'd let Andy Burnham stand in Manchester because I'm pretty sure reform would beat him in any seat right now, Sarah. Seriously.
Yeah, I think that's probably correct. I think people are obsessed with Andy Burnham mainly because he has nice eyelashes.
They're too big. You can't trust a man that nearly meets in the middle. Do you like all that monogram thing? He looks like the devil.
Anyway, Cersei's back.
Oh, Cersei's back. Do you see how she changes subject, starts talking about the cat? What do you think happens then? What's your take on all of this? Today we limp through feeling quite sorry for the King, carrying out a speech about policies that won't be implemented. What are your feelings? Is Starmer a dead man walking?
Yes, he is a dead man walking. But the thing is, the question is, when will he actually be put in the coffin? And I actually think they will drag this out. I don't think they will. I don't think any of them have got the balls to do what needs to be done.
You don't think Wes Streeting will go over the top tomorrow?
I just think at the end of the day, they're all too wedded to their little fiefdoms and their little bits of power that they've got.
Yeah, I agree.
And they're all too scared. And actually, if he digs his feet in like he has done, it's actually going to be very difficult to extricate him. The Tories have a mechanism for getting rid of bad leaders. Labour Party doesn't really have that. It requires courage among the ranks.
Did you hear Graham Stringer on the show earlier? He said something that nobody picked up on, and I thought about it about half an hour later. He said because of that mechanism in the Labour Party, which has long been out of date, we fought a couple of elections in my time as an MP with the wrong leader, knowing full well we were going to lose and we could do nothing about it.
Exactly. So, I mean, I think that if he wants to stay there, he'll stay there. I don't think any of them can do anything about it. It's a terrible situation.
We've got a clip of Wes, welcome to the real world, Wes, being heckled by the press as he leaves Downing Street. Let's have a look at this, please.
Have you resigned, Mr Streeting? What did you say, Mr Streeting?
Did you ask the Prime Minister to resign?
Are you going to resign, Mr Streeting?
Do you want the job or not?
Honestly, it's like...
Look at his body language. Look at his body language.
What are you telling me from the body
language?
language?
Well, he was just tense, so you could just see the tension in his shoulders.
So does he come out of there having... now, this is really interesting. This is why I love you. Do you look at that and go, he's come out there having been told off, or does he look like he's come out of there having got absolutely nowhere and I've got to wait 24 hours and I'm going to stick the knife into this piece of rubber?
He's raging. I'd say he's absolutely raging.
Yeah, he's been put in his place, hasn't he?
Yeah.
It's now or never. Resignation watch tomorrow. Let's talk about the wider implications. A lot of people disagree with me on this. When a party announces the defection of an MP from one to the other, I've always been very vocal and said I don't believe they can serve those constituents. Having changed party, there should be a by-election. I also, you won't agree, I'm sure, I don't think Major, I never thought whoever the other one was, can't remember, Brown. I've always believed that although it's a party, somehow the figurehead has got the mandate, their name predominantly.
Yeah, you've got to have a general election.
Yeah, you agree?
You completely no, you absolutely have to. I mean, when the Tories did this, I thought it was mad. You can't change your leader and then not go to the country. I mean, Boris did go to the country. You've got to do that. You've got to.
He did go to the country, and he got a rasping. Hello, Cersei. Cersei's tail's now nothing.
No, he did, and for that you have to respect him because it's not an easy thing to have to do. Everyone says, oh, no one wants a general election. It's really disruptive, etc., etc. But you can't just change leader because people vote. I think when people vote at the general election, they genuinely vote for the person more than the party quite often.
I agree.
And I think it's very important that they feel that the person who's in charge, who is effectively the chief executive of the country, has the capacity to do what they need to do. So, if they suddenly put in Angela Rayner, there will be a lot of Labour voters who will go, actually, no, I don't want Angela Rayner running the country. So I think you have to go to the country. I think you do have to have
that might be the reason, again, why he survives, because there can't be any Labour MP in any constituency in this country that thinks it's a wise moment to go to the power. The people.
This is absolutely correct, and I think they are weighing up, the sort of do they cling on to their power and keep their little fiefdoms and get to have their little train sets and all of the stuff that they're enjoying at the moment with their ministerial cars and all of this, that, or do they go back to the country and risk losing? Reform would clear up a lot of their.
It's quite interesting if you Wes Streeting, isn't it? Because if you Wes Streeting, on the one hand, I'm pretty sure the thought of being Prime Minister, the aphrodisiac of what that could mean, must empower you. And if he's got principles, he'd go over the wall tomorrow and not think about losing the ministerial job, the perks. But he's also got to bear in mind that if he doesn't pull it off, he's toast forever, because if the left get in, we already had Ed Miliband saying he'd stand against him. And so it is about timing. But then somebody said something earlier, and I've had so many guests I can't remember, politics, we want brave people, don't we? We want conviction.
Yeah, you do. You want bravery in politics. You need to have. I mean, this is one of the reasons why Trump has been so successful in America, is because he's not scared of anything or anyone.
Did you hear what he said overnight? Did you hear his advice?
What did he say?
He said, You've got it round the wrong way. Can't do the impression. Your borders are open and the North Hill fields are closed. You need to turn it around and open the North Hill fields and close your borders. And you look at that and you go, listen, there's a lot about him that drives me nuts, but he's spot on right, isn't he? Start drilling and close the borders.
He's completely right. That's what you need to do. And he just and they're just tying themselves up in knots. They're so sort of hamstrung by all these kind of ridiculous sort of. I mean, they are just inexperienced sixth form communists. That's what
I'm not against what you just said, because you look at that front bench and you go, what jobs have you actually done? You've gone from the student union. I mean, Wes Streeting was head national secretary of the NUS to probably some sort of, I don't know, political unit, to the Fabian Society, to whatever, and suddenly you're an MP. I'm going to fire some quick questions at my favourite guest by a mile ever on this show. So you say he'll go when?
Not for a while.
Okay. Next leader?
I think maybe at the conference, maybe in the autumn.
Next leader?
Good question. I think it probably would be. I think it might be Ange.
Do you? Angela Rayner. And have they, in your mind, managed to inflict upon themselves the universal hatred that it took the Tories 14 years to do, and then some? And will they, and what they've done and the Tories have done, mean that the new era of politics, you look at those local election results last week, is going to be full steam ahead, isn't it, after this? 100%.
I think so. I think the thing is, both parties have failed catastrophically on a number of issues that ordinary people really care about, which they're not supposed to talk about. And I think everyone's just sick and tired of being told that they're racist and bigoted and that all of their views are wrong and that they don't understand. Yeah. The electorate is the electorate. We have universal suffrage. You can't sell something to people that they just don't want to buy. And I just don't think a lot of people in this country are looking at mainstream kind of traditional politics and thinking this is a system that works. It doesn't.
I think the silent majority, and people get bored of me saying this, but I really do believe it, I think the silent majority have worked out in this country that their voice can be heard, and I think there's a word which is fairness. And I think when you talk about immigration, the public services and all the things that we talk about all the time, I think people are going, I've always been really reasonable, but, I'm really struggling. I'm struggling with all sorts of things, my kids and bills, and I've never go on holiday, and I work all the hours, and I just think politicians are taking the mickey and people are getting more than me.
Small businesses can't work, people can't hire people, everything gets stuck in the weeds, there's so much bureaucracy. People, you look at sort of Zach Polanski not paying his polls, not paying his...
He's going to implode, isn't he? Jesus.
It's like, well, when he does it, it's an oversight. If I did it, it would be a, major disaster. The thing is...
It's because you're a right-wing...
Exactly.
Whatever, aren't you? Like the rest of it. Final question. Love having you on. Thank you. Will Nigel Farage be the next Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, in your mind?
Very possibly.
I love how calm you are. Brilliant. Thank you. My love to Cersei and the other cats. We'll have you on very soon, and thank you. The brilliant Sarah Vine. Read her in the Mail. Watch the podcast. Fantastic. Rossi, good morning.
Good morning, Jezza. It's Rossi from Failsworth, driving a big truck, keeping this government going. As always, supporting our government. Yeah, right. The thing is, what I'm frightened of as well is that the King is being used to try and save Starmer in our own country now. It can't be done. Starmer, if he wants any credibility, he should walk away. That's the only credibility that he has in his back pocket. If he wants to save face, if he wants to do the right thing for the British public, it's time to say, listen, I tried, I failed, and I'll walk away now, and I'll do it for the British people. And you know what? Maybe he'll salvage that little bit of respect. But as for using the King has always had the British public's best interests at heart, and long may it continue. I think he's too intelligent. Like we said, he had USA eating out of his palm. The subtle comments, he absolutely demolished them over there. The Democrats and the Republicans, he had them all eating out of the palm of his hand. And you know what? I hope he does it today. I hope he does it today, and they step up, and it's time.
Welcome to Down the Local, the show that goes from pub to pub across the country, speaking to the punters about the subjects driving us all nuts at the moment.
That's Rachel Reid, Rachel Thieves, Rachel McCown.
I don't really know Meghan Markle. I know Meghan Markle's from Suits, and that's about it.
I don't know about anyone else, and I don't know where this is going. I have 0% beard, and I feel
Raising the flag, I think, is symptomatic of this desperation.
Is public transport good value for money?
No, it isn't.
You really don't like speaking to people.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back, 9:26. We're live across the UK. The Sun's editor-at-large, not a large editor anymore, been living the life of Riley in Washington, D.C. Harry Cole, before the news at 10, still looking at those pictures of Streeting. Walking into 10 Downing Street, had 18 minutes with the Prime Minister and came out looking very agitated. Many people expecting him to put his head above the parapet tomorrow and resign. Will Mahmood do the same, or are we going to be stuck with this lame duck Prime Minister because nobody's got the cojones big enough to tell him where to go? Neil's in Stoke-on-Trent. Jez, in my opinion, Starmer needs to be tied to a chair in a dark room and be made to listen to the clip where he criticised Boris Johnson 4 years ago on a continuous loop until he realises what a two-faced, arrogant liar he really is. Wow. Nick is in Bournemouth. Jez, the Labour Party knocked reform, but they have put reform on the map because of the mess they've caused, and they cannot see it. They are destroying this country. Hello to Terry. Jez, you talked earlier about suffering from anxiety. How could you possibly suffer from anxiety when you do 16 hours a week? I never said. It's a lot. You tried talking for 16 hours. Jez, when Starmer did his speech, he basically told us his agenda, and that's the only plan he has. He wants to take us back into Europe. Once he's signed on the dotted line, he'll walk away to a job with his mates in Davos. Morning. Peter from Doha. He's obviously sussed it out. Shouldn't Burnham... What? Shouldn't he have been at work yesterday as the Mayor of Manchester, just skiving off first class on a train to London, trying to play Kingmaker, possibly? And finally, for now, Paula, very nice, Bexhill-on-Sea. Did you see how Starmer held on to Vicky's hand so hard when they were greeted by a group of fans that they had to hug people with one arm each? Everywhere they go, he holds on to her hand. I think he's a control freak. Maybe he's just trying to make sure she doesn't run away. Absolutely no comment from me. 0344. Oh, by the way, Georgina in Cambridge. I reckon today's King's speech will be the most watched and listened to speech in history. It wouldn't be if Keir Starmer was making it, though, would it? 9:28. Let's get an unbiased political view of what that actually involves today. A parliamentary and constitutional historian, Daniel Britton. Welcome to Talk Breakfast. Haven't you got the right surname? Imagine if you were called Daniel, Ukraine.
I know. I've been lumbered with this forever, Jeremy. Very nice to join you on the programme. Thanks for asking me. 2 T's in my name, Britton, but I'm prepared to lose one of them if that would make me more patriotic.
I think you're very patriotic. It's good to have a patriot on. So today, loads of people, and this isn't political, but loads of people saying, A, how uncomfortable for the King, understanding that he's constitutionally bound not to be political, but he's going to announce a raft of measures for a government that are in free fall and a Prime Minister who might not be there by Friday.
And this is not the first time the monarch has done this, Jeremy. I was interested in your caller just before the break. King's had 2 tough gigs in the last fortnight. I mean, addressing the US Congress and today at Westminster for the state opening. And there have been rumours that the palace wanted to make a more scaled-down version of state opening. I think that would be entirely wrong. I think the point of the monarchy is it treats every speech exactly the same. Whatever the government, whatever the state that government is in, with the electorate. You take an entirely neutral position and carry on as normal. The date is not entirely accidental, apart from it being the 13th, I guess. It was chosen quite deliberately to be after the local elections, very soon after the local elections, and the palace knew that. We're having a normal King's speech, and the King will carry out his constitutional duty. I think the difference between them is that when he addressed Congress, he could put much of his own personality into that speech. The speech at Westminster is far more constrained and is written by the government. King's speeches actually used to be rather less formal in the language, and the King would often say things that he thought were interesting in the public sphere. They're much more constrained, and that started under the reign of Queen Elizabeth.
Do you understand, though, the people who say that this puts our monarch in a difficult position? Yes, it's his constitutional role, that there will be people who will have seen the success that he had in the United States. Extraordinary self-diplomacy. I thought it was a brilliant example. And for me as a royalist, I thought, you know, that hopefully will have quelled some of the discontent, because I thought he was absolutely fantastic in everything the monarchy should be. There are people that texted me in the hundreds this morning saying they feel they feel like he's being used really in a situation. I mean, we've heard this morning, you probably know more about this, the palace sources have said that there was a sort of pressure put yesterday to the Labour Party in its entirety. Don't have any of his shenanigans and shambles that we saw yesterday on the day of the King's speech. And there are rumours that Wes Streeting, if he is going to resign, will wait till tomorrow. So there is some involvement in the palace wanting to make it look as normal as possible.
Well, firstly, Jim, as I said, I think the palace, in fact, the best plan for the palace is to do every King's speech exactly like it's normally done. Otherwise, you do end up possibly showing bias to one side or the other. Don't move with the wind, stay steadfast. But on your second point, I think Labour, and the word probably has been put about, we're getting that from Downing Street, that there'll be no shenanigans on the King's speech day. Shenanigans can start afterwards, but none today. It'd be quite interesting, immediately after the King's speech, when the parliamentarians have had their lunch, the Commons and Lords will reassemble and they will discuss the King's speech. In the Commons, that will be a very lively debate, and then we'll be getting to see rarely the lie of the land between the parties, but within the parties. But I don't think they're going to do anything to upset the palace today.
Brilliant to have you on, Daniel. Thank you, mate. A really interesting insight into what will go on. We so appreciate your time. Daniel Britton, parliamentary and constitutional historian. I was just thinking, actually, you know that bit before the King's speech when the political leaders walk, I think, from one chamber to the other, and the Prime Minister always walks with the leader of the opposition. And I'm thinking to myself, he's probably safer to an available dagger walking with Kemi Badenoch than he is from his own parliament, isn't he? His own party. It's going to be an extraordinary thing today. It is, of course, all constitutional. Some will argue that the King is being dragged in. Others will say, no, that's just the way of the land. But there's no doubt. What is it? Just gone 9:30. Hold on, Rob. The King did well in USA, but I'm not giving him a buy on Andrew. He lent him the money to pay sexual deviance. Yeah, you see, this is what a lot of people think. A lot of people will say that about King Charles. He did a great job, but you've still got the problem with Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, and really just America took the gloss off that. That's an opinion that many people have. As of today, I guess he'll do his business, and the Labour Party will put on ice this continuing drama, this reality TV show. Coming next, by the way, a man who delivers poise, elegance, just class and knowledge. Oh, no, he's not available. Harry Cole's next. Morning, T.
Hey, Jazz, it's T from Worcestershire, and I just wanted to come on because allegedly Buckingham Palace had been on the phone to 10 Downing Street going, King don't want to be dragged into any drama. And I just like, is it me? Because as much as Downing Street can be like, no, it's fine, nothing to see here. We all see what's going on here. And it's a backdrop of sleaze, discontent in the country, an incompetent government ruling us the last 24 hours just in hyperdrive. Yeah, he's going to rock up and we're going to watch this theatrical display of complete and utter fake. And the King's going to be there doing his pomp and ceremony. I'm at a loss, honestly, that we're all meant to play along when the country is so unhappy. And the King is definitely being dragged into the drama. He is definitely going to be the face of it today because he knows, we know, they know, but we've all just got to play along, you know? It's just dissolve Parliament, King. I think that's the best thing you could do right now for your people, for the country, for peace, for calm. No, but we all play along.
So we know that they know that she knows that I know that they could know that it might not happen. Listen, I'm with you. I'm completely with you. You could look at the King's speech today and you could say it's a bit of a farce. But I guess it will go ahead. The underlying tensions will continue. But there was that great line, do you remember? We see you. We see you. Let me tell you this at 25 to 10. This man is a dead man walking. The point is this. Is anybody in his own party, and as Sarah Vine put it so well, are they going to look beyond the trappings of being a minister, their car, their expense account, their whatever, grace and favour accommodation, and go, for the good of this country, Keir Starmer needs to be sent on his way? Then, of course, you've got the complete debacle of what would follow, which could be even worse. One thing I know after the last 2 days is that in the last, 3 years, the Tory party and the Labour Party, I think, have consigned two-party politics to the dustbin of history forever. Talk Breakfast, good morning.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back, 23 minutes to 10. We're live across the United Kingdom. Talk Breakfast is on. Julia Hartley-Brewer from 10, Ian Collins from 1, and Kevin O'Sullivan from 4. That's how we line up on the Home of Common Sense today. Just to repeat, today... Wes Streeting at 8:30 went... I don't know why I'm doing me hand like that. Went into 10 Downing Street. Stephen in London says 18 minutes he was there. I bet Streeting wasn't in there for more than 10 minutes. Dunn would have kept him waiting outside his office. I don't care. What did he say? When he came out, the body language wasn't very good. He didn't look very happy. He was heckled. Let's have a look.
Have you resigned, Mr Streeting? What did you say, Mr Streeting?
Did you ask the Prime Minister to resign?
Are you going to resign, Mr Streeting?
Do you want the job or not?
Do you want the job? Larry the Cat's done one. Starmer's bunkered up somewhere in number 10, waiting for the inevitable, and we say a very good morning to a man who's flown halfway across the world, because adding his voice to this frankly particularly poor lineup today has just given this show a little bit of credence. This is dropped his pen. Harold Cole, good morning.
Jeremy Cole!
Harry Cole!
How are you, my friend?
Oh, mate.
Wouldn't miss it for the world.
He's flown back because he's like me. My wife, she just says to me, what's happening now? Because it's all you're interested in. I'm on my phone the whole time. Just as an
Monitoring
overview...
the situation.
Oh, mate. It's so fascinating. There's so many different parts to this. Dead man walking, we know. Timing important. What I thought was fascinating was Dan, and I know you were doing another interview. Dan Hodges came on from the Mail this morning, written an astonishing piece where he says that on Monday night, Starmer realised the enormity of what was happening and decided to ring around his cabinet ministers, several of his closest confidants, and say, I understand the tide has turned, how can I do this honourably? Shabana Mahmood, somewhere around her camp, it was in the papers within 50 minutes. We're not saying it was Shabana Mahmood. I'm the one that talked him into resigning, and apparently when that happened, he went absolutely bloody nuclear and said they'll have to drag me out.
Oh, he must have been furious.
I am furious. And we've also got Wes, who's been...
Wesley? Did I find out his name is Wesley?
It's not Wesley.
His name is Wesley.
It's worse than Jeremy, and Jeremy's crap. He's been on manoeuvre since he was 3. He is now, and you know this more than anyone, it is now or never.
Yeah.
I know he wants to do it before the left amalgamate, anointing and all that, but even if he doesn't get to win now, if he doesn't stick his head above the parapet, he's also a dead man walking, isn't he?
As I wrote in a very, very excellent piece on page 10 of this morning's Sun.
Marvellous piece.
Marvellous piece. The history of the Labour Party...
Oh, sorry, they've just brought it in. Oh, yes. Look at that. Never mind the men in grey suits, send for the men in white coats. It's a fantastic piece and it's on page 10 of The Sun.
Available in all good news agencies and on the interwebs.
Interwebs? That's what my dad used to say. What's this face web thing you do? Yeah, he's dead now.
Anyway, you know, the history is littered with, you know, the story of the Labour Party is one of treachery. In that stupid song they sing, The Red Flag, they talk about traitors. They're, you know, to be a traitor to the Labour cause, they're still arguing about who knifed Keir Hardie, let alone who knifed Keir Starmer. So I think for Wesley, he's very concerned about his place in Labour history. He doesn't want to be seen as the guy who wields the knife. Now, traditionally, it's always been the one that wields the knife doesn't wear the crown. That's nonsense. Boris Johnson got rid of Theresa May. Rishi Sunak got rid of Boris Johnson. Got there eventually with the crown. So I think he is starting to look like the nearly man of British politics. A sort of Heseltine figure, a David Miliband figure. You know, remember that hot June day back in 2009 when it was will David Miliband knife Gordon Brown and his keen ally James Pennell went over the top, resigned on the front page of the Sun.
Then he got knifed by his own brother.
Exactly, then he got knifed by his own brother, but he didn't get Gordon Brown. He didn't do it. He chickened out. And I think Wesley Streeting will be chiselled in the long, illustrious list of nearly men of British politics, unless he gets off the pot, so to speak.
The pot or the potty?
Gets off the potty or does the business, I'd say.
Do you think he will? Dan says, resignation watch tomorrow morning. He says sources have said that the palace are very concerned about today, the pomp and ceremony of course, the King's speech. Nothing will happen. He says, forget resignation watch this afternoon.
Yeah.
Streeting will go tomorrow morning.
Dan has put his balls on the line there. We'll see where he does it. I wonder, I mean, so many of his allies have gone. His bag carrier resigned. His mates have resigned. His neighbouring MPs have all called for Starmer to go.
And what about his main ally in cabinet was, or is, Peter Kyle?
Well, they went to see The Devil Wears Prada 2 together at the weekend, which I thought was... I landed yesterday morning and I didn't have any Wi-Fi on the plane, thanks to...
You didn't have any Wi-Fi on the plane?
I did have some Wi-Fi. No Wi-Fi on the plane.
Wi-Fi?
So I turned on my phone after sort of 7 hours in the air, and the first thing I read was Henry Zeffman at the BBC talking about the fact that Wes and Pete had gone to see Devil Wears Prada 2 together, so they couldn't possibly be plotting.
No. But then he shot out to the front.
The popcorn plot.
The popcorn plot. But he came out the front of 10 Downing Street, Peter Kyle, and stuck up for the Prime Minister, which was also perhaps a kick in the gonads.
Well, I do know. I mean, politicians being duplicitous, heaven forbid.
But Shabana Mahmood should resign,
I thought I was in a fever dream when I...
She should resign as well.
I mean, if there's anyone who shouldn't resign in the Labour Party, it's her, because she seems to be the one person trying to do something about closing our borders. But well, remains to be seen how well that's going to go.
Right. Also, the left of the party. I mean, I've got quite strong beliefs on this.
Oh, do you?
The self-styled King of the North, right? You said to me just something about reform. Let's get this nailed on. I don't speak to anybody who says he's a bloody messiah. That Manchester's the same as London. However, he seems to be the darling of the Labour movement. He's lost twice running for election.
Exactly. He lost to Ed Miliband, for Christ's sake.
But did you hear Steve Reed say he shouldn't become an MP because he made a commitment to being the mayoralty? They know that they would lose the mayoralty to reform. If you look at the local election figures, and if I was Starmer, you'll laugh at me. If you were my chief, if I was Starmer right now and you're chief, do you know what I'd do? Hello. I'd let Burnham stand in Manchester because I think reform would beat him in any seat.
Well, I mean, I think they could probably find a seat still where Burnham. He does have some local popularity, and he got name awareness more than anything up there.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right about the mayoralty, because look at that. You know, Greater Manchester was very turquoise, and Inner Manchester is very green. So it's it's a three-way.
They're all living on narrow boats and not paying their council tax.
Again, another story I landed to and just thought, this country.
Though this man is unfolding by the minute, Zach Polanski. Thank God for that.
Yes, look into my eyes, look around the eyes, you're under.
Yeah, well, you see, the hypnotising of the breasts thing...
One of his more redeeming qualities.
I think he hypnotised his dentist, and in fact the person that wrote his CV. I think the whole thing's gone wrong. Let's talk about America overnight. The Donald, the advice. Did you see the advice?
Was it stop windmilling a country?
Let's just play this. This is Donald Trump giving advice to Starmer. Quite clever, this.
Keir Starmer, sir. He seems to be on the brink.
Well, my advice to him has always been, open up your oil in the North Sea. You got one of the great oil finds anywhere in the world, and you're not using it. They're not allowed to use it. And it's one of the best in the world, among the best oils in the world. Open up your oil in the North Sea and get tough on immigration.
Did he stay or go?
Europe is being very, very hurt by immigration all over Europe.
Did he stay or go?
That's up to him. But I've told him from day one, you're getting killed on energy. You're windmilling your country to death. Open up the North Sea. You have one of the greatest sources of energy in the world. Open up the North Sea.
The pressure is from Nigel Farage, sir.
Basically, he's saying you've got it around the wrong way, Keir. You need to close the borders and open up the oil fields, instead of close the oil fields and open up the borders. I love that. That's up to him. But it isn't. It's sort of up to you as well, Trump, isn't it, really? As you said.
Do you know what windmilling is, Jeremy?
Oh, God, I'm about to be humiliated. Is it something rude?
I don't think I can say. I don't think I can say it on the air.
Harry, I think you've shown yourself up to be some sort of degenerate. We've no idea what windmilling. Could somebody Google it? Christian's just gone, I'm a dad. I don't know whether... Yes, you're exactly the sort of person that would go online because I have no idea what windmilling... Harry Cole's gone red.
It's a deviant sex act.
Brilliant. Welcome to Talk Breakfast. Thank you very much indeed. Anyway, right, Trump has said that Starmer should indulge in some deviant sex act. This is getting better by the minute. Yeah,
come for the astute political analysis. Stay for the windmilling.
Answer me this for that.
Think about what a windmill does.
Harry, I've been up since 2 a.m. A windmill goes around and blow... Oh, dear. Oh, right, never mind. Yeah. Flaps in the wind. Let's crack on. This cabinet, you know cabinet collective responsibility, right? Apparently yesterday, he said, I'm not talking about it, and went on to Iran and started talking about other things. Well, how can a cabinet continue if they've got a different view to the Prime Minister?
I thought that was quite baller. I mean, he's a man that loves process, right? Oh, I love the process. The process. I've got the agenda. The agenda of the meeting. You know what? He says, yeah, you guys want to do it. You know, there's a process. He loves process. There's a process. You ain't got the numbers. First rule of politics. Lyndon B. Johnson. Learn to count. If Wes has the numbers, he would have gone by now.
Really?
Yeah, totally. 81 is a big old chunk. And don't forget, 100 of them have gone over the top and said he's got to go. But half of them want Burnham, half of them, a third of them want Burnham, a third of them want Wesley, and
Who do the other third want?
Oh, they just want to keep their seats. They're just panicant.
But is that not the answer that most of them in the end would turn because they know under Starmer that
81 have to back a single candidate. It's the whole process. The process is designed. The process is working.
You've definitely got jet lag, man. We've had deviant sexual acts and a strange impression since you got here.
That was my Keir Starmer impression. That's very good. Not obvious?
You notice the most dangerous one, Miliband, who, by the way, Quentin Letts was right about. His bottom sticks out when he walks in an unbelievable way. Did you see Quentin Letts the other day talked about the Starmer speech, and he said the Prime Minister started quite impressively, and then the gravy congealed and we ended up with this sort of mess straight in front of us. Ed Miliband put himself forward for leader in order to block Wes Streeting.
No, I mean, this is just... I'm not going to swear. This is just playground nonsense. The country was offered Ed Miliband in 2015 and comprehensively rejected him, giving David Cameron a surprise majority that pollsters and, pundits, heaven forbid, did not see coming because Ed Miliband was so bad. The man cannot eat a sandwich, let alone run the country. He is a net zero fanatic, a zealot, and a dangerous communist who must be stopped.
Oh, I completely agree, but the truth of the matter is that he, if you look at Wesley, got that now, love that.
Yeah, I mean, it's over for that.
And Angela, right, I'll stand if I have to, and them Tory boys like being put in place. He could slip right through the middle, and that is, for this country, incredibly dangerous. And you're smiling, we're smiling because we love it, but the truth is...
I don't love it. You know what?
The country's on his backside.
I'm going to pick you up on that because this isn't a game show.
No.
Yes, look, this is like Oscar season for political pundits, but the country, look at the bond markets. Look, across the river over there, they're looking at what's going on down the river in Westminster, and with their heads in their hands. And, if we're going to keep chopping and changing the Prime Minister every 2 years, and there's already saying that if Wesley slips through and gets the nomination, they'll knife him again. And you're looking at, you've got JP Morgan this morning saying, we're going to build a really, really big tower in this country. It's going to be bigger than Canary Wharf, the famous one. It's going to be even bigger than that. And they've already paid an extra £10 million in tax just to make all the pen pushers go away. And they're saying, you know what? Why are we building this massive tower in the country? Because... we can't. This country's turning into Greece or Italy or some sort of southern European basket.
I think it's a really important point. And we started this morning with a line that I gave, which was that while they're sitting there clinging hold of power, even the Tories, in the end, did the right thing. Yesterday, what he showed was that the aphrodisiac, as I've said earlier, of power is greater. And when you consider this man came to power and he talked about cronyism and he talked about doing it right, and he also said repeatedly,
the grown-ups are back in charge.
you've got jet lag. I will put the... I'm doing it now. What's happened now? I will put the country before my party. You're putting yourself in front of everybody.
Totally.
And that is, for the very reason, we do this show for Alarm Clock Britain, right? We talk about people, the jams, the just about managing. Those sorts of people are looking at this and going... Well, you don't give a toss about
look
us.
at the election results last week. Look at the results. Across the heartlands of Britain that gave us Brexit. Gateshead, Newcastle, Sunderland, Wigan, Greater Manchester, the Midlands. Look at the result. It's turquoise. And what does he stand up and do?
This isn't a reform podcast, for goodness sake.
A reform podcast?
The latest YouGov...
Reform got a podcast.
YouGov poll, latest YouGov poll, 11% lead. That's
exactly.
the 273rd poll. I don't know this specifically.
And what does Captain Hindsight stand up and say? The answer is more Europe. We're going to put ourselves at the centre of Europe.
Harry, can you stop doing that voice? You look like
we have a show on the Sun called Never Mind the Ballots. It was meant to be a pun, right? And Keir Starmer's literally saying, never mind the voters, more Europe.
He's saying what?
More Europe.
When is Never Mind the Ballots on?
It's on today, actually. We're filming it. My friend, our friend, the people's friend, Rod Little, is coming in.
Are you doing it every night?
We're doing every sort of day, just during this time of heightened crisis.
Week, if you'd like.
I might be back in America by then. But
I thought you were hanging around, man.
Well, I think it might be. This ends this week, right?
Do you genuinely mean that?
One way or the other. This ends. This ends tonight.
I'm sorry, something's happened to Harry Cole. Have they let you into... What have you been doing in America? Have you been taking some new and illegal drug?
I've drunk a highly caffeinated beverage this morning, which I won't read out the brand name because I don't think we're
Red Bull gives you wings. Amber, good morning.
Hi, Jeremy. It's Amber calling from Manchester. The King should dissolve Parliament. Honestly, he's dangerous to the UK, Keir Starmer. He's dangerous to his people. He's dangerous to our economy. He's dangerous to our safety. He's ruining our relationship with America more and more every single day when they've been one of our longest friends and allies in this world. Honestly, it's getting completely ridiculous now. This government needs to just go. We need a general election quick and we need to get rid of them. Bye.
Jezza, the next time you speak to Dan Hodges, please tell him that I loved his mother. In case you didn't know, the award-winning actress and politician Glenda Jackson. Also, he's doing a great job. I'm sure she'll be very proud. I didn't know that Glenda Jackson, the late
I had the pleasure of... I know Dan pretty well. He used to be my neighbour when I lived in this country, and his mum used to live in his basement. And she was still going great guns in her 80s, and you'd wander downstairs to the basement, and she'd have the door propped open with an Oscar. I thought it was really cool.
I love that. Andy Coulson. Really? No, this isn't right. This is hilarious. Harry Cole's impression of Starmer is 100% comedic. That's from Josh Widdicombe. The whole thing's gone completely bizarre.
Thank you, Josh. Thank you, citizen.
Jezza Tim, could you ask Harry how he knows what windmilling is? No. Philip in Fareham, an apt phrase right now is carousel of chaos.
A carousel of chaos? Oh, a windmill of...
Stop it. Mark's in Camelford. Somebody must be penning the movie already. The Madness of Sir Keir. This is interesting. You'll love this. Hilton in St Albans. A few songs that Starmer wouldn't want on his playlist.
Windmills of the Mind?
King... Honestly. King Midas in Reverse, the Hollies, Go Now, the Moody Blues, Dead End Street, the Kinks, It's Over, Roy Orbison.
It's over. Michael
You're
Caine.
So Vain.
Do you remember Michael Caine singing that in Little Voice?
I do. I don't want to talk about it or I'll blow the bloody doors off.
It's more nasal than that. You've got to be more nasal.
How do you sleep, John Lennon? I won't back down, Tom Petty, and It's All Over Now from the Rolling Stones. Just to sum it up, because I really want to ask direct questions, quick answers. What do they think of us in America, Harry Cole?
You know what? It's actually a combination of fascination and genuine... I think if you go back and listen to what Donald Trump said in his speech when the King was there last week, you know, they love this country and they see themselves as the sort of, you know, the offshoot of Britain and British liberty and British rights, and they're just looking at us and wondering what the hell's going on. And they look at Starmer and think, you know, oh, well... And also, what's the point? Well, there'll be another one along soon.
Do you know what I look at when I see you? Somebody's just told me what windmilling is. You're an utter disgrace, Cole. An utter disgrace. I don't know what to say.
Well,
right.
to be fair,
flailing is all I'm going to say.
There was a long discussion about our broadsheet colleagues downstairs, Stig and Kate, had a long discussion about windmilling at 6:05 this morning.
On
Times Radio.
They were talking about it. How long does Starmer have? 3 quick questions.
Well, I mean, look, you know, how long's a piece of string, right? You know, he could go, say, I'm going to go, I won't fight the next election. That might take some air out of all of this, take the sting out of it. You know, it takes about, traditionally it's taken about 120 days or something to elect a new Labour leader once they've signalled a contest begun. You can't get away with that in power.
Just answer the question, man. How long's he got? A week, a day, a month, a year?
It doesn't matter. He's out of power. He's in office out of power.
Does Wesley Streeting resign tomorrow?
Wesley, would you like a cup of coffee? Is there anything on your mind?
Yes. Is he going to... I can't do this. Is he going to resign tomorrow?
Are you going to resign, Prime Minister? No.
Okay.
Well, Wesley?
Yes.
Well, if Dan Hodges says he is, then, you know.
Does Burnham have a chance to be the next Prime Minister?
He likes to think he does.
I love you, Harry Cole. Do not go. Stay close and just stop that windmilling. The legend that is Harry Cole tonight. Never mind the ballots. 10 o'clock tonight.
No, it's on YouTube. It'll be on the Sun website, YouTube this afternoon.
Rod Little will be on.
Rod Little, what a great man.
He is a great man. The Sun's editor-at-large, who does crap impressions but writes fantastic pieces. Page 10 of the Sun today.
There you go.
Just get out.
Okay.
Thank you very much indeed. Back in 3.
Welcome to Down the Local, the show that goes from pub to pub across the country, speaking to the punters about the subjects driving us all nuts at the moment.
That's Rachel Reeves, Rachel Thieves, Rachel McCounts.
I don't really know Meghan Markle. I know Meghan Markle's from Sinks, that's about it.
I don't know about anyone else, and I don't know where this is going. I have 0% beard, and I feel
Raising the flag, I think, is symptomatic of this desperation.
Is public transport good value for money?
No, it isn't.
You really don't like speaking to people.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. So Julia Hartley-Brewer is here from 10 o'clock this morning. This story is not going to go away. There's other stuff in the news, but this is the main news story. Wes Streeting earlier this morning went to see the Prime Minister. He was there for only 18 minutes. He came out into Downing Street looking at best agitated. Many people are saying that palace sources have intimated, and I think this is right, that the King's speech today, the pomp, the ceremony that is involved around that will surpass any of the chaos that is so obviously central to this government right now. We're told that it will be held off until tomorrow. The big question for us is resignation watch tomorrow morning. Will Wes Streeting finally put his head above the parapet? Will he resign? Will he go? Will anybody in the cabinet follow suit? There's no doubt that Keir Starmer is a dead man walking. He's a Prime Minister that's just not able to... I mean, think about it. What can he put through the King's speech? His backbenchers, if they don't like something, are just going to tell him where to go. Dan, good morning.
Morning, Jezza. It's Dan from Kent. Starmer wasn't going to quit yesterday, was he? He's got his get out of jail free card being the King's speech today. There's no way the palace will allow monarchy to be embarrassed. And give it a few days. I'm sure all those that remain quiet, Rayner, Burnham, will stick their